Call to order the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force at 4:03. Please call the roll.
Chair Wolf.
Here.
Chair Wolf here. Member Highland.
Here.
Member Highland here. Member Hinsey.
Present.
Member Hinsey present. Member LaHood.
Here.
Member LaHood present. Member Kanata.
Here.
Member Kanata present. Member Tesfaye.
Present.
Member Tesfaye present. Member Martin.
Present.
Member Martin present. Member Kate has said that he would not be available for today's meeting, and Member Wolf, Josh Wolf, has not made an appearance yet.
And Member Wolf.
Josh Wolf is not here yet. He's not present.
Not present. Okay.
Just one more.
Yeah, you've got two new.
Sorry. No, I did say it. Member Martin and Member Yankee, didn't I?
You
Yeah.
didn't. You didn't call Yankee.
I apologize.
But I'm here.
Okay. Is there some way we can deal with the echo in the microphones?
All building services.
It's like it's echo. There's an echo attached.
We will call media services in a moment. However, we wanted to note that there is a request for a postponement on an item on today's agenda for Mr. Patrick Roddy.
Okay.
Matthew Roddy is out of town today, so he's unable to attend the meeting. We found out at about 1:30 today.
Has the respondent been notified?
Yes, they have, by email.
And what was their response?
Haven't heard from them.
Is the respondent here?
And Acosta, Ms. Campos?
No? Okay. Then we should, folks, what do you want to do? Do you want to continue this item? Yes? Is there
Yeah.
no objection to that?
Should we wait a while to see if the rep of the SFPD shows up?
It's your choice. Do you want, what is your pleasure?
Can we make a decision on that when we get to item number 6 on the agenda in case the police department shows up?
Sure, we can definitely
Didn't
do
hear
that.
that? I'm sorry.
Can we wait until item 6 comes up on the agenda to see if the police department shows up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we can decide then.
Let's do that. Okay, are there any changes, adjustments, or questions about the agenda?
As far as I know, that was the only agenda change.
Okay, great. I'm asking the members here. Okay. Is there any public comment on the agenda? Seeing no public comment. Okay, so we're going to take the agenda by acclamation. Seeing no objection. Okay, great. Agenda is approved. Let's call the next item.
Item number 2, approval of minutes from the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force hearing, October 3rd, 2018 meeting.
Okay. Is there any changes, adjustments, or edits to the minutes? Nope. Okay, is there a motion?
I move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second. I'll second.
Moved by Member Kanata, second by, who wants it? Okay, Member Hinsey. Any public comment on the minutes? Seeing no public comment, can we take that by acclamation? Seeing no objection, item is approved. Do we wait a moment for you guys?
They're just fixing the echo.
Okay.
Testing. Turn it down a little bit more. Testing. 1, 2.
1, 2. 1, 2. Yeah, it's much better.
Okay.
Thank you. Great. Okay, let's call the first item.
Item number 3, file number 18011, complaint filed by Denta Tedeschi against John Haley and the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency for allegedly violating, excuse me, Administrative Code Section 67.29-2 by failing to update the SFMTA website on a weekly basis.
Okay, it seems on August 21st, the EOT had determined task force has jurisdiction, referred the matter for a hearing. Before we get moving, I just want to just welcome our two new members, and if you have any questions along the way, you can just blurt out, like, can I get some clarification, or if you want, some sort of, you want to do some Robert's Rule thing, be my guest, that's fine, no problem. But just stop us if there's something you don't understand. We want to make sure you're able to follow through and, without any problem. Okay, great. Okay, so we're going to move directly to the hearing at this time. Are both parties here? Yes. Okay. And Mr. Desi? You're here. Okay, great. So you're first. 5 minutes. Oh, yes. Wait, hold on a minute. Can somebody from EOT make a presentation of this? Yes, she did. She did.
All right.
No, I don't want to wait for Josh. Let me get rolling on this. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. All right. I'm going to read from the summary here. Denta Tedeschi, the petitioner, provided a summary. This is the report from the committee. Provided a summary of his complaint and requested the committee find a violation. Mr. Tedeschi stated that his dog is a registered service animal, that he has complied with all the laws related to service animals in San Francisco, and that his service animal, a pit bull terrier, has a leash and a collar. Mr. Tedeschi stated that his issue with the SFMTA is that he is required to have his service animal on his lap while on the exterior of the cable car. Mr. Tedeschi stated that in 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, this regulation was not on the SFMTA website, and since his arrest on January 6, 2017, this rule was reflected on the SFMTA website. Mr. Tedeschi also stated that he is currently experiencing financial hardship and is homeless. In response to member Bruce Wolf inquiry as to how Mr. Tedeschi became aware that this rule was imposed in 2017, Mr. Tedeschi stated that he received an outline from Ed Reskin and Cheryl Brinkman via emails regarding the SFMTA's policy, cable cars, and buses. Mr. Tedeschi stated that he checked the SFMTA's website regularly and that the policy was only posted on January 6th of 2017, of which he took a screenshot and included it in the record. Mr. Tedeschi stated that it is his goal to be able to take public transit and have a service animal with him. Mr. Tedeschi also stated that the public should be made aware of the rules and that the rules should be posted in an easy-to-access location. There were no speakers on behalf of the petitioner. A question and answer period occurred. The petitioner and respondent were provided an opportunity for rebuttals. A representative from the SFMTA, the respondent, was not present due to a conflict of schedules. Okay. Mr. Tedeschi, 5 minutes.
Okay, my name is Denta Tedessa. It's pretty simple.
I apologize for Mr.
No, it's okay. The website was changed reflecting this policy of having your service animal on your lap while riding the exterior portion of the cable car on January 6, 2017. Prior to that, it never existed. End of story. That's it. It never existed. That's it. That's all I have to say. I'm just going to keep it nice and simple.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any persons or witnesses to provide any facts or evidence on behalf of the petitioner or the complainant? Seeing none, respondent, you have 5 minutes.
Good afternoon, Roberta Boomer, Secretary to the SFMTA Board of Directors. Just one point of clarification. The agenda says that the complaint was filed by Mr. Tedeschi against John Haley and the SFMTA. That is not, in fact, accurate. His complaint was actually filed against John Haley and the SFMTA attorney. You did receive correspondence from the attorney stating that they do not have any jurisdiction over whether or not the website of the SFMTA is updated or not. That's not their role. In response to the complaint, I advised the task force that John Haley, who is the Director of Transportation and who oversaw the running of the municipal railway, is not in charge of updating the website. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear. Notwithstanding that error on the agenda, the fact is Mr. Tedeschi's complaint was that we failed to update the website weekly. I submitted web pages showing that not only do we update weekly, we post close to 100 new web pages every week. At the time of the complaint, Mr. Tedeschi did not include any information as to what web pages he was seeking. At the time of the complaint, the information that he was seeking was on the website, on our accessibility page. Subsequent to his original complaint, he did provide further clarification, and as I just stated, the information has been on the website since prior to Mr. Tedeschi's complaint. His other issue with regard to whether or not he can ride on a vehicle is not a subject for the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force. It's not in the jurisdiction of the task force, as there is no allegation that a Sunshine Ordinance provision has been violated. That was a matter that was adjudicated in 2017, and I believe was the subject of a subsequent complaint before the task force, which you resolved. And that concludes my comments. And I do have the digital web page coordinator here who can answer specific questions about our web page. As I said, there's over 14,000. Here today, there's 15,000 pages on our web page. So it's a very comprehensive website. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any persons or witnesses to provide any facts or evidence on behalf of the respondent? Okay, sir.
Hello, and thank you, members of the task force. My name is Dovid Copeland. As Roberta alluded to, I am the digital communications coordinator, so it's my responsibility to keep the website tool set up to date. As an agency, we have a distributed Drupal environment so that anybody that needs to include information on the website can get authorization to do so, and I enable our fellow staff members on a regular basis to do so. So Roberta asked me to join her today to just give you a brief overview of how we keep the website up to date. The latest version of the website was released on December 5th. That was about 11 months ago. Since the current website was launched, we have added or updated 4,842 pages, some more than once. On an average, we do about 100 updates, 100 pages are updated each week. As of this week, in the last 7 days, or 5 working days, we've updated 89 pages. And again, as Roberta mentioned, the website is made up of over 15,000, it's actually 15,727 published pages. It's obviously, our website is our most important communication channel. Oh, I'm sorry, I think my time is up. Oh, I have 1 more minute, great. The website is our most important communication channel, so it's obviously very important for us to keep it up to date. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any other persons or witnesses to provide any facts or evidence on behalf of the respondent? Seeing none. Members, case is with you.
Yeah, Through the
Member
chair.
Canada.
Mr. Tedessa, I just want to get a clarification on what you stated. You said that before January 6th of 2017, the policy of having a service dog on your lap if you're riding on the exterior of the cable car didn't exist or wasn't on the website?
Didn't exist, number one, truthfully. But for this particular complaint, it was not on the website. I have been saying from the very start, the 5-year revocation that banned me from riding the cable cars with my service animal was based on one thing: my service animal not being on my lap. This is a crucial rule. It's a ADA policy. This policy did not exist in 2016 like they said they did. This is fraud at the highest level. They have completely, the effect of what they did, SFMTA and John Haley, in terms of, they have ruined my life. I am homeless because of them, for God's sake. Again, and I just want to come here, just simple thing. It should be very, very, 14,000, 15,000. I mean, I brush my teeth.
Thank you.
That's not the thing. The thing is that this particular rule was not on the website.
Okay, thank you.
And that's it.
Can I have a respondent up here to answer that same question? So I guess it's a two-part question. When was this rule enacted, and when was it put on the website?
So I believe that Mr. Tedessa has included the reports of the published policy. I don't have it off the top of my head, so I would need to refer to that. But he is correct that sometime between December of 2016 and January 2017, there was an inclusion not of our service animal policy, but of the specifics to cable car. Because of safety, obviously there are some different restrictions on where those service animals can be.
Right, but a new rule or a rule that was not on the website and then was put on the website at that point in time?
It was not a new rule at that time. It was put on the website at that January 6th time period.
Thank you.
Just a quick question to follow up on that. Was that a rule that was approved by the commission, by the board of directors?
That is correct. So every year we reissue all of our rules, and so Mr. Tedeschi in his report has actually included each of those yearly reports.
I appreciate that. I want to hear from your perspective, not from records that have been applied from Mr. Tedeschi.
That is not a record that was approved by the MTA Board of Directors. The Director of Transit does issue bulletins about conduct and rules. There are many administrative rules that are not approved by...
Who is the director of?
At the time, John Haley.
Is Mr. Haley still with the
No,
agency?
he is no longer with the agency.
Okay, and is the, I'm sorry, the director, what's the title again?
Transit.
The director of transit. So does the director of transit been given authority to make and change rules on their own?
Yes,
So
he has that authority.
So when it comes to
He is accountable.
applications of federal law, they can make rules without approval of the board of directors?
Mr. Haley is accountable for the day-to-day operation of the municipal railway. The MTA Board of Directors is a policy body and are not involved in the day-to-day operations. As you can imagine, when you run 365 24/7, you cannot wait for the next board meeting. You have to be able to make and change rules immediately.
Let me ask you a different way. Does the board of directors have to approve changes to ADA applications in the system?
I'm not aware that they have ever been asked to. And the policy with respect to dogs is in compliance with the ADA. And at the time, the general pet policy, as in the document submitted to Mr. Tedesse, the general policy states that a dog must be on a lap, under a chair, or out of the aisle. The specifics with regard to cable cars. So the language was there as the general service dog, service animal policy. Later on, it was clarified. Language was added to clarify animals on cable cars.
Okay.
Through the chair.
Hold on a second. I think, Mr. Robin, did you have? No? Okay, go ahead.
I'm looking at your policy on
Mr. Howard.
online right here, and there was no cable car policy. It was added on. It's not even in the same font and size. That clearly looks like an afterthought to me. Just saying.
Yep.
I have
Member
a
testify.
comment for the members before we continue with the questioning. We need to take a close look at what 67.29-2 is talking about. So I think this can go one of two ways. One would be, was this policy voted on by SFMTA and those minutes not posted in a timely fashion pursuant to the requirements of 67.92-2? And we're all able to look at that section of the packet. If you're looking for that part of the code, it was included, I believe, by our city attorney in the packet. If you want to look at what that section is, again, I can provide the page number.
Page 18.
Does everyone see it on page 18? Okay, great. So there we have the requirements for posting minutes, agendas online in a timely fashion. The other part of this section in the Sunshine Ordinance has to do with the website being updated on a weekly basis. You can see that in the bottom portion of 67.29-2. SFMTA has provided a log. If you start looking at page, I believe, 42 of the packet, of all of the updates to the website since the website, the most recent version of the website went up. This log shows you that the website has been updated on a weekly basis. Actually, it's been updated on more than a weekly basis. So that portion of 67.29-2, I don't believe needs any more discussion. That portion of the code says that website needs to be updated on a weekly basis. So I think here, if we would like to try and provide some kind of assistance to the petitioner, what we need to do is direct a line of questioning on what was the agenda date that this SFMTA policy went into place. Which agenda was that on? When was that agenda posted? And when were the minutes showing that the policy was approved? When were those minutes posted to the website? Because in this section of 67.29-2, it doesn't say that regulations need to be posted by a certain date. It states that the website needs to be updated on a weekly basis, which they've shown us. And we know that there are requirements for minutes, agenda, things like that. We're not here to provide, any kind of an order for the petitioner that he didn't receive notice of this policy or not. We can't adjudicate on legal notice, but if they did not post the minutes that said that they authorized this new policy in a timely fashion, then, we could find a violation there of 67.29-2. So, I hope that the questions going forward can be focused on that issue. It sounds like some of them are going in that direction, but the questions really need to be focused on that issue. This portion of the code does not require them to post a regulation by a certain date. It requires them to post the agenda when it was decided and the minutes that show that the vote went through approving that regulation.
Okay. Member Canada.
But it also, and I'm not arguing this on either side, but it also says each department is encouraged to make publicly available through its website as much information and as many documents as possible. So
Right.
this seems to be pertinent information
It is. That portion of the code, I was looking at that, it doesn't require that every single thing be posted. And if you look at the log that I made reference to, I think starting on page 41 of the packet, you could see they're posting a lot of things on their website. It's not, I mean, the minimum is a weekly update, but they're posting a lot of information on their website. So them missing posting one thing wouldn't be something that would be in violation of 67.29-2. But them missing posting an agenda on time, even one time, would be a violation. Them missing posting the minutes on time would also be a violation. So we need to focus there.
Okay, so
Agreed.
if we're looking at, starting at page 42, and we're looking at the site launch, okay? Site launch was on December 5th, 2017 at 10 a.m., okay? Mr. Tedessa has testified that this change was a year prior, okay? So we would need to see the logs from the year prior to determine what the updates were then.
To the minutes and the agenda?
No,
or?
even just to the website, to see if there, because the petitioner's claim is that it wasn't there in December, but that it suddenly appeared in January of 2017, okay? We don't have logs going back that far, okay? So these logs, for all intents and purposes, just shows that they, from the point of the new website being launched, that they've been updating it properly. But we don't have the records prior on the old web, quote unquote, I guess the old website.
So that means we're looking for records that show they update the website at least on a weekly basis.
That's right. Mr. Tedessa's claim is that the information was not on the website prior at any time for a number of years. And he had done that research, and I suppose that some of that is included in the record here, but that when, after this incident happened, it was still not there until a month later. And then it happened, and then it appeared on the website. So this doesn't even apply to the new website. This applies to the website that was prior. So, Mr. Copeland, did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so were you in charge of managing the website from 2016 through 2017?
I started employment with the city in May of 2017.
Okay, who was in charge of the website prior to that?
Charles Beloff.
And is he still in the employment of the
He
city?
is still in the employment of
Okay.
the agency.
So I think we need the records that are applicable to this case.
And I can provide those at another time.
You have access to those records?
We can see. Now, one of the challenges is because the old website is retired, those active logs are much more difficult to obtain. So I would need to ask to see if I could get some degree of how many updates happen on a weekly basis.
Does the city not, or does your agency not back up the website?
Oh
with
no,
servers?
we do have a backup, but
Okay.
but the backup isn't the full version, so it's just a matter of verifying. I have
Okay.
a little bit of trouble telling you exactly what I can get from
Okay.
that backup.
Do you understand what our questions are about
Yes.
this at this point? Okay, great.
It seems to me like you want the same type of information about how often we updated the website prior to the release of our new website.
That's right.
I would comment that the way that we use our website hasn't changed. It's just the website itself has changed. So the instance. My anticipation is that we will see about the same level of updates on a weekly
But I
basis.
guess what we're asking for is evidence that there was the item in question was not on the website at a certain period of time, and then at another period of time it appeared. And the period of time in the petitioner's question is that it is just that it wasn't there at the time, so the public had no knowledge of the rule, and then sometime after the incident that he experienced, it suddenly appeared. Member testify.
I think it's a little bit more nuanced than that under 67.29-2. There, the requirement is that websites be updated at least on a weekly basis. So we would need logs like the ones shown starting on page 41 that show that the website I guess 42, page 42, logs that show that the website was updated at least on a weekly basis during the period in question. The requirement under 67.29-2 is not that every single piece of information be on the website. It's what Member Kanata had mentioned earlier, that they're trying to put up as much information as possible. From what I see at the log at this time, which is not the evidence that we can use, a lot of information is being put on the website at all times. But we do need to see logs that show similar information, that they're updating at least on a weekly basis in order for there to be a claim under 67.29-2.
I guess my concern is Mr. Copeland was not in this position at that time. It was someone else. So nobody knows what his behavior was or what his process was in updating the website.
Well, no, we just need the logs. I mean, the logs wouldn't be Mr. Copeland's, they would be the logs associated with the website.
No, I understand that. I understand that. And so and the thing that we're looking for, if they are updated on a weekly basis, if, as Mr. Tedessa has testified, that it wasn't posted on the website at a prior time, then we should be able to see in the logs when it was actually updated, if they are with as high a fidelity as these logs.
That's fine for us to look at, but under 67.29-2, it does not require that every single policy and piece of information be posted on the website. But
Okay.
it would. But another thing that we can look at to the benefit of Mr. Tedeschi is maybe those logs could show when the minutes are posted. Were the minutes actually posted within the required time after the meeting that decided that ADA policy? That would be something that could help his case. We can also look at, was the agenda that decided that policy by the SFMTA actually posted within the requirements of 67.29-2? Because those are the items that our law requires to be posted by a certain amount of time and requires them to be posted.
Chair Wolf, if I may,
I got it. Yes.
just to answer Task Force Member Tesfai's question, this was not something that was ever taken to the MTA Board of Directors. So there is not an agenda, because this was an administrative operational bulletin that was in the purview of the Director of Transit. So there would not have been a meeting agenda or minutes.
Okay.
With regard to posting and whether or not the SFMTA posted and updated their website on a weekly basis in 2016. I can assure you that it did.
But we need the evidence. For us
because, at least MTA Board of Directors, agendas, minutes, calendar items, certified resolutions, all are posted on a weekly basis.
I guess the question becomes for me is, and the reason why my line of questioning was exactly as she was explaining. Who has the ability or the authority to change the rules or to make the rules? And as you're suggesting that it would be, because the way the ordinance is written, that it's based upon minutes and agendas and things like that. If there was a change in order of a policy that that body should have taken. I'm not quite going off the reservation, but I want to at least know whether that body should have made that decision or not. And if they didn't make that decision, then at least that's on the record. It's maybe not applicable, but I think it's worth the question, because if Mr. Haley at the time had the authority to make or change those rules and an official bulletin was put out, that could be somewhat tantamount to be the same kind of decision that is system-wide. It affects the entire public, and it is a change in essentially law, a regulation that is got some gravity to it, that has an effect. It certainly has had effect on this petitioner. So I think it's worthwhile to explore some of that, and not quite go down a rabbit hole for it, but I think it's important to note, because though the ADA law is something you don't want to contend with too much. That's the city has had some pretty serious matters when it comes to ADA law, like curb ramps, things like that. So as Member Hinsey could probably attest to. So I just wanted to explain a little bit about my line of questioning. Yeah, member Testa.
And I think to that issue, if we're looking at, was a rule made not in public, things like that, then we could also possibly, through your discretion, add a different portion of the Sunshine Ordinance to this item, but that wouldn't necessarily be covered under 67.29-2 about just posting things online.
Right.
That would have to do with, was a decision made that wasn't made in public, and does the Brown Act require that to have been put onto agenda and voted on? I know we've heard from the respondent that this policy was characterized as, some kind of operational policy or something like that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that is how the decision should have been made or not, and if so, then there would be an Open Meeting Act issue here that would need to be added to an agenda as appropriate.
Right.
Through the chair, I was
Yes,
just going to maybe ask our Nick Cola to chime in on that. I mean, like you said, anything that's ADA rises to a certain level, shouldn't it merit hitting an agenda? Shouldn't there be a public notice under 671 of our charter? I mean, that's really, I think, the heart of what we're getting at here. And if we can flesh that out, that might help this petitioner ultimately in what he's searching for.
ECA Cola, would you like to respond?
Well,
Want me to restate?
it seems like the task force is trying to get at whether or not an ADA violation occurred here.
No.
I mean,
Not there.
No,
Not there yet.
was this decision about an ADA policy one that needed to be decided in public, and so that would concern a possible Brown Act violation, or was it, like an operational policy issue that could be decided internally without, a public notice through an agenda and a public vote on that issue?
I mean that's nowhere near the complaint that was filed, and that everybody came here prepared.
Right, we wouldn't be
discuss
deciding
today.
it now, but I was saying if we were going to go down that road, it would have to be agendized as the portion of the Sunshine Ordinance dealing with Open Meeting Act issues.
Chair Wolf, if I could, the ADA prescribes that people with disabilities must be provided access to our transit vehicles. It does not stipulate the manner in which that access shall be provided. The access provided was determined by the director of transit. As you can understand, we have a wide range of modes. Our cable cars are unique in the world, and the manner in which Mr. Tedeschi wanted to have his animal on the vehicle was unsafe, and so he was informed of the means by which, in full compliance with the ADA, he could have his service animal on the vehicle. That matter was adjudicated and was resolved. It was also, I believe, the focus of a SOTF complaint last year, which you all did already adjudicate. The issue before you today is solely, per Mr. Tedeschi, whether or not the SFMTA maintains its website on a weekly basis.
Through the chair.
Yeah, hold on a
Go
second,
ahead.
Mr.
Yeah.
Martin.
Yeah.
Member Martin.
Yeah, typically, how often are operational bulletins generated?
Say again?
How often are operational bulletins typically generated?
I am not sure. It's
More than 10 a year? More than 10 a year?
Yeah, I just don't know. I'm not in that department.
Thank you.
It's a
But-
wide range, and there's revenue bulletins. Every time there is, for example, if we provide free muni on New Year's Eve, there is an operational bulletin that's put out on that. There's operational bulletins about special events, about reroutes. So yes, there'll be more than 10 a year.
And are those typically posted to the website within a week?
The events themselves are. And the impacts, the service changes. Sometimes if we have to take a bus from one division, we have 7 operating divisions. Sometimes we have to switch divisions, so there's an operations bulletin. So the bulletin itself may not be posted online because it's just, internal sausage, making. But the service plan, the service changes are always posted on our website.
What about changes in rider policy?
Say again?
Changes in rider policy?
Yes.
That's typically posted within a week.
They'll be posted. I don't know how often they're posted. I would have to.
Okay, thank you.
Not my lane.
Okay, Vice Chair Hyland. Yeah, Mr. Tedesca, I see you. But Mr. Tedesca, this is our process. We'll call on you when somebody has a question for you or wants to hear from you. So just be patient. Vice Chair Hyland.
I'm sorry, was it Ms. Hopper? Was that your name? Boomer. I'm sorry. I don't know where I got that from. I just want to respond to your statement. We're not here to debate ADA policy that happened at a certain point forward. What we're trying to establish was your change in this ADA policy noticed, agendized, debated, put in minutes appropriately to allow this gentleman to have been informed of them before he got on and stated that he wasn't aware of it, and to give him some grounds, which hopefully he can, take and rebuild his life. So everything you say is very interesting, but it's irrelevant. That's not what we're looking at.
Understood.
I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And at the time,
that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. At the time that the
Thank
complaint
you.
was
I
filed.
don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Okay.
I just want to note for the record that on page 14 on the intake, that the complaint is against Mr. Haley, the Director of Transit, and the SFMTA.
Attorney.
No, that is in our record.
In his original filing.
But that has nothing to do with it. It has to do with what gets filed with us as the
Okay.
complaint. Who he requests information from is different than what a complaint is brought.
Okay.
He's not bringing a complaint against the attorney. Member Hinsey.
Policies, are some rider policies debated and decided by the SFMTA board?
No.
No. So all rider policies are
If I can clarify.
Decided through these bulletins.
The rider policies, fare changes are decided as part of the budget process.
Okay.
Yeah, but they make decisions other than the budget.
Yeah, they make the decision about the budget. And so
No,
a rider policy.
other than the budget.
No.
The Board of Directors makes no other decisions other than the budget
About rider policies?
about anything else in the SFMTA.
Oh, no, they make decisions about a lot of different things.
Okay.
But as it relates to riders, no.
They don't make any decisions about ridership
About ridership?
Or rider policy.
or rider policy.
They make decisions about routes, changes to routes, new routes, bus stops, removal of bus stops, things like that.
Okay. All right. Is there a does the SFMTA or the board have a policy on posting of operational bulletins or how they distribute to the public? How does the public get to know about them?
The MTA board does not have a policy about how administrative bulletins are posted. That's administrative matter that rests solely within the jurisdiction of the Director of Transportation and the Director of Transit.
How does the public find out about them?
Generally, as I said earlier, information about changes are posted on the website. Anything else? And are posted at bus stops when there is a change, an event forces a bus stop to change. That information is posted at the bus stops in the area.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? All right, I want to give Mr. Tedesca an opportunity. Sorry? Before that. I just want to give him an opportunity to, he has a burning statement or question.
First of all, there should be a willful failure there should be also a charge of not bringing somebody that is knowledgeable to the task force tonight to answer your questions. Number 3, Ms. Boomer said that this had to do with a adjudicated issue. Just imagine if you were on the other end and you ask for reasonable accommodation all the way back in July to sit on the cable car on the outside with your service animal between your legs. I've asked that question since July. When I first heard about it out of the blue, I asked that question, no answer, nothing. When it broke in the press in October of 2016, I emailed them. I did every single thing possible. I emailed even before August. I emailed Matthew West, accessibility coordinator, like I should, the person who I should go to about accessibility aboard SFMTA. I asked him to actually come on a ride along to see what I was doing with my service animal between my legs. I asked him then, this new policy, I still will follow it, but this new policy doesn't make sense. She's 65 pounds. Can I please have her between my legs? This is your policy. This is the rules. I'm following the rules. He didn't answer. After this...
And this was who?
Matthew West, accessibility coordinator for SFMTA. Then when the story broke, I went to their headquarters. I was in tears. I was saying, why can't you give me an answer to this reasonable accommodation? Nothing. Zero. No comment.
And when was this?
This was November 20th of 2016. I did every, when was
the incident?
This is October 29th, 2016. Then what happened was...
I have one more question.
Yes, sir.
When did Mr. West accompany you?
So I have been... the first time I got news of this new policy was in July.
No, that wasn't my question.
I'm sorry.
You said you testified that Mr. West accompanied you on...
Yes. Oh, yeah.
When was that?
This was August 3rd or 4th of 2016. I actually went on because what had happened was I had gotten onto a cable car in March, and they told me I could not stand on the outside. I said, yes, I can. She's a service animal. I can go anywhere in the public is allowed to go. They arrested me. I was led away in handcuffs because the Muni supervisor said that this is.
I'm sorry. I understand what you're explaining. We want to keep our focus on the website issue.
Yes, but what I wanted to impart to the task force is this is a willful failure. This is fraud. It is one of the dirtiest things I can imagine, and so it's just not a simple sorry, we didn't have this on the website. No, this is a strategic, it was a deliberate way of exiting me off of the cable cars, and the website is part and parcel. Yes, I appreciate that this is what we're talking about today, but my service animal is outside right now.
Yeah, but Mr. Tedeschi,
because of this issue.
Mr. Tedeschi, you brought this complaint. I'm not going to argue with you. You brought this complaint forward to us. It's specified for something very specific. I understand.
I am public. Government's duty is to be open to the public.
I understand that, but
my public, I might not know exactly which rule or which how to go about this, but I'm telling you, as a human being, this policy was not on the website. It was changed on the website on January 6, 2017. Now, however you want to go about, however finding out about that, you can do that. I grant you that. But what I'm saying is, this is coming from my heart. The policy was never there. And the reason I'm a little bit, emotional about this, because it has a history, it has legs. And so I might not, 67.33 department head, declaration. There's supposed to be, there are many things in the Sunshine Task Force.
I know, Mr. Tedesco. The problem we have is that you specified a particular issue which is to be a violation of a specific section of the code.
Correct.
That's what's before us today, not all the other items.
But the Sunshine Task Force members, it says in the bylaws that you guys are actually, if you are supposed to help the public.
Yes,
I am the public, and you need to help me to find this violation. There is a violation.
No, we are not required to find a violation. We are required to provide you with a hearing to determine whether a violation has been, if there is a violation or
and so
not.
There's no violation, I guess. Okay. I mean,
we're not saying that, Mr. Tedesco. Mr. Tedesco, please let us finish the process.
I've been
okay. Then, and you'll know whether we are doing our job or not. But we have a certain procedure in the way this operates, and you've been here before. You've had many cases before us.
Yes.
So you're not.
And they all have to do with this.
I understand that it all has to do with the same issue, but we're now talking about specifics. And so let us talk about the specifics and see what we come up with. We can only deal with what's in front of us. So I'm going to move the case along. Member Hinsey, you have something.
I had a question for the respondent, MTA.
I got to check on my dog. I'll be.
So is this policy on the website now?
Yes.
Which section of the website is it on?
It is on the accessibility webpage.
Okay.
And it was on the accessibility webpage at the time that this complaint was filed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, members, any other questions or comments?
I said a question.
Yeah, Mr. Yankee.
I noticed,
Member Yankee.
like, for example, this here, it says general notice, and there's like a number. So it says general notice. Where are the notices if they're not on the website? Just curiosity.
Where are the notices? These are notices that are provided to our transit operators.
Okay, so they're not publicly available typically. I noticed, like,
Through a
like
public,
numbers.
he asked for these and he received these via a request for public records.
Okay.
Yeah.
But just to clarify, so you're talking about a bulletin?
Well, it says, he included these where it says general notice, and it appears there's like each one's numbered.
Is that considered an operational bulletin?
Yeah. So there's not like an index of these online, or it's not like the physical location where these are available or
No.
anything? Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so these are directed at the employees, right? Okay. Okay, great. Okay, can we move to rebuttals? Okay, respondent, you have 3 minutes for rebuttal if you wish to offer any.
I'm never quite sure what I'm supposed to rebut, but I have nothing more to say. I've answered your questions, and the basic nature of Mr. Tedeschi's complaint was that we failed to update the website on a weekly basis, and clearly we've provided you with plenty of evidence showing that indeed we update multiple times every week. Thank you very much.
Mr. Tedesco left the room.
Outside to check on his service animal.
Okay.
He should be back momentarily.
Okay, members, do you want to table this until he comes back and move on to the next item, or do you want to wait?
The next one is him again. He's got another item.
He's next. From who is he? Where is he from?
We should call the item before we talk about it.
Right.
But if you'd like to table the matter temporarily, we can move on to public comment.
It can be public comment.
Through the chair, I just had actually a question for member testify. I like the direction you were going, looking at trying to get to the bottom of when was this change noticed, should have been noticed. I was inclined to ask for a continuance just on that alone, maybe even have our DCA take a look at that if we can get to that. I don't know if that's something that is worth investigating further. And just so other members know, we've heard a lot of this gentleman's cases, and a lot of them we can't quite help him because that doesn't quite fall into areas that we can act on. This might, if we can get to the bottom of that piece of that noticing, and this might help him ultimately. I'm willing to do the extra work to do that. So that's where I was leaning. I don't know if you want to just throw that around a little bit further.
I'd like, as we're deliberating on what we're planning on doing with regards to moving the case forward, I'd like to wait until after rebuttals for that and leave this period of time for any questions or answers from the respondents and from the parties. Okay? Rebuttal for you, Mr. Tedeschi. 3 minutes.
Yes, so again, it's pretty simple to me. The website was not updated. Was only updated on January 6, 2017. It should be a willful failure, I believe, for this update. Again, it has affected my life in many ways. It led to all of a sudden a sign comes up in my housing saying that all service animals need to be leashed. And what's so incredible about this whole thing is the leashing thing wasn't even an issue on SFMTA. What was the issue was I was with my leash in the middle of California Street with my service animal, waiting for the cable car, and then they just pass me by. You have no idea how that feels. It's humiliating. It just makes you feel like you're nothing. So what did I do? I had her on the sidewalk, off leash. I waited in the middle of the street. They would come. They stopped. They didn't see my pit bull, my beautiful pit bull, who's a service animal. I was able to board. That's what it was. That was one of the first times I ever took off the leash. Also, following ADA law, 28 CFR 36.302 says as long as the service animal is under control, you can have them off leash if it's for your safety or for your animal safety. I asked for reasonable accommodations, like anyone would. I've had her spayed. I've had her licensed. She has the California assistance tag. Yet, for some reason, all that doesn't matter. All that doesn't matter. All my accommodation requests, all my inquiries, all my trips to SFMTA headquarters. It's about the truth. It's about honesty. And when you then turn around and say that I never asked you for a reasonable accommodation, so that question is moot because now your writing privileges have been revoked, and then and then this is after the website change showed up on January 6th.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just, this is a willful failure. It has everything to do with everything else.
Thank you. Okay, members. How should we dispose of this? So Vice Chair Hyland had a question about...
Yeah, I'll just restate it since all the people in the room now. I'm inclined to dig into this a little further, especially the change to the ADA accommodation that went on the website, to see if that was done according to Brown Act and Sunshine laws. And I would move a continuance to investigate a little bit further with direction to the respondent to provide documentation to show, the chain of events that led to that hitting the website, how it got there, was it an administrative action, who authored that, who advised that, and just to see and also get a statement from them as to their policies as to what is administrative and what is substantive, because I think that is in our realm, and I think that's worth looking into.
Member Tesfaye.
Can I ask a question to Member Hinsey, just because she has like professional experience in this area? What do you have any familiarity with how policies related to accessibility and ADA compliance are enacted and followed through with different agencies? Is it do they typically appear on agendas? I know you're not an attorney, but just from your experience, I don't know what you before we try and pursue this.
I don't have any experience seeing a direct accessibility policy for riders at the MTA board. Sometimes they will have certain accessibility projects at board, but those are mostly pedestrian safety type improvements. I've not seen a accessibility policy related to riders at the MTA board. That doesn't mean that it shouldn't necessarily go through the MTA board, but I haven't. Yeah.
So I guess my questions for this are, who has the authority to make these changes?
Right.
Okay, is it the board of directors? Has the board of directors given authority to somebody else to make those decisions? What is the process for making those decisions? Things like that, so that when those things would have the same power that as if the board had made the decision themselves, and then we can then have a discussion as to whether they were properly posted on the website or not, based upon the time frame, so on and so on. I'm wondering if we should ask the board of directors that question,
Yeah, I agree.
so that we hear it from the decision-making governing body.
I agree.
The second thing would be, should we ask the ADA coordinator to come and find out what advice was given when this change was, made? I don't know if or when, if that's applicable or not, but it may be in the part of when was discussions made about this, how they were made, and when was a final decision made, and then when was an operational, just a chronology of when the publicly available document may have been made. Should we inquire with the Mayor's Office of Disability on this? I don't know whether that's whether that's applicable for this or not. Just a thought. Yeah, Member Hinsey.
So we could ask the accessibility coordinator. It might be helpful for just some background as to like the timeline, so that we can assess that whole thing with the website. In terms of MOD, I believe actually this particular petitioner this scratched that what I was about to say, because it was a different complaint that this petitioner actually had against MOD for a different issue also related to his service animal. But typically for SFMTA matters, it goes through their accessibility manager, and they don't often receive technical assistance from MOD.
Okay.
So I think the accessibility services manager. If there was anybody, that would be the person you would want to
Okay.
ask.
Well, we should also note that the MTA is an enterprise agency. It's kind of like an independent nonprofit of the city, so it kind of has its own parts to this that are independent of city government in a lot of
Right.
ways too. The other questions I have are, what are the rules and regulations that the SFMTA has on public disclosure for changes in the ridership policies or what have you? From the testimony I've heard today, it's kind of uncertain and unclear. And because when I think about changes to the ADA, I remember when Eric Holder was the Attorney General. He made this huge change in ADA law from service animals to service dogs.
Yep.
And sometimes maybe a miniature horse in certain cases. That didn't go before Congress. It didn't come from the president. It came from him and him only. He had the authority to make that clarification. But he didn't just make it and then didn't publicize it. It was publicized everywhere. Everybody had it. There was lots of ability for the public to comment. There was a big public comment period about it. I mean, it's a whole process to it. So, this isn't just something simple about like walk on the left side of the aisle when you enter the bus, and exit through the rear. It's very specific and important civil rights law. I also wonder, I don't know whether it's applicable either, but it's something that came up for me, is does the ADA specify whether an agency like this can make these kinds of rules, changes, specifics on how the ADA is to be applied in that kind of way? Title 504 is for public buildings, for government buildings. Does it specify that where? I mean, I'm not going to give you an example, but I'm just wondering in general. Yeah. Are there specifics that are not contained in the law that should be asked? And that's it. So, how should we move forward? Do we have a motion? Do we want to continue this item? Do we want to request other information, request to hear from other people? What's your pleasure? Or a motion to find in violation or not and find a violation?
I'm just going to start the conversation on that, on a motion. I mean, any motion for a violation would have to be under section 67.29-2, and so I would not find a violation under that. So I'm just going to put that out there, and then of course we can discuss if we are interested in using this file number to pursue the other information that you've mentioned, or if there's another way for us to look at that. But we wouldn't be able to find a violation of another. I wouldn't feel comfortable finding a violation of another section of the Sunshine Ordinance without the proper notice here. Only 67.29-2 was
Through the
noticed.
chair, in response to that, I believe as a task force we can add on other sections that we feel might be in violation. So we do have that purview if we want to, but I also appreciate the noticing.
Right.
But it would have to be applicable to the core of this case.
Right.
So,
Because they would have had to seek, some type of like legal counsel or something like that to be able to brief and prepare documents to support
right.
or defend that other item.
I guess my open question for this is I can't find I can't find a conclusion, because I don't know what happened between December 2016 and 2017. I have no evidence. Okay, so I don't know if there's a violation or not. So I'm interested in that at the core of this case.
So perhaps a motion to hold the item and request that additional information, the logs that we discussed with our web coordinator.
Okay, we can do that. Are there any other items that people are interested in?
I found
Member
the
Canado.
discussion of whether the ADA allows other organizations to make these types of modifications in their rules, and if so, what type of process does it have to go through?
Right, right, what process, but I guess my ruminations about that is can a single person who is not an elected official or not an appointed official with that level of authority make these decisions or not, kind of thing. Okay.
And just the other thing that's troubling to me is it seems like other changes that affect riders are publicized, whether there's fare changes, whether there's a route that's being changed, whether it's permanent or temporary. These types of things are public because the majority of riders need to know it. Here, it seems like it wasn't made public, and it's for a specific class of the ridership. So.
Yeah.
Goes to one of the questions I had, is just what constitutes a update in the website? If you change a tab around, does that count as keeping the website updated each week, or is it substantive stuff?
Well, that's a question for us. I mean, that's in our purview to answer, and that, could be an interesting subject of debate. Anybody else? Okay, so I've got here who has the authority to make the ADA changes? What's the process under the ADA to make specific changes? I've got when are the bulletins if and when are the bulletins to be made public? And what constitutes an updated website? Anything else?
Just a chronology of the cable car edition would be nice.
The chronology of when the website was updated?
Yes. What led to that?
Okay, so you want, how about the chronology of when the operational bulletin was created
That led
or
to
approved
to lead to the January 2017 update.
to the
Animals on Muni page,
the
last
website?
section, service animals on cable cars.
Okay. Okay, great. Anything else? Okay. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Well, the motion is to continue or to, have this held at the call of the chair. It's got to be actionable. What's the action here?
Continue to the call of the chair.
Okay. Pending receiving this information, all this information?
Yes, I think member testified said it more elegantly earlier.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to hold this item to the call of the chair until we receive the website update logs that are pertinent to the years related to this file.
Okay.
We would also like policy information on how updates to accessibility policies are implemented at SFMTA.
Else?
No?
I can both how they're updated and how they're the public is noticed of those updates.
How what is?
How the public is notified
How the
about those
how
updates.
the public is notified. Anything else?
That last part, the specific chronology as to.
I got that. Got the chronology. And then I think when we revisit this, we'll take up Member Martin's question about what constitutes an update to the website. Okay. Okay, is there a second to that motion? So moved by Member Tesfaye, second by Member Kanata. Is there any public comment on the motion? Public comment, your party, sorry. Seeing no public comment, please call roll.
Aye.
Actually, please call the maker of the motion first. Thank you.
Aye.
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 Member Hinsey? Member Hinsey, aye. Member Martin?
Aye.
Member Martin, aye. Member Yankee?
Aye.
Member Yankee, aye. The ayes have it. The motion passes.
I didn't get called,
I'm sorry.
and I didn't get
Lila Hood.
Aye.
I apologize.
And I didn't get called. I didn't get called.
Chair Wolf.
Aye.
Chair Wolf, aye.
Item passes. Okay. We'll take general public comment now, generally called at 5 o'clock. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on? I'll let you read it.
Public comment. Members of the public may address the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force on matters that are within the task force jurisdiction but not on today's agenda.
All right, seeing no general public comment. Yeah.
Yes, I would like to speak regarding the reasonable accommodation of my service animal to come into this meeting even today. I had asked the Sunshine Task Force, Victor and Cheryl, for this accommodation. I also asked MOD for the accommodation. I should be able to get. Just recently, same issue happened over at Superior Court. Prior to just last week, I've never had any issues with her being off leash while going through security gate. All of a sudden, one of the sheriff's deputies that was here was working over there, and he stopped me. So that led me through a quite exhaustive reasonable accommodation email exchange with the ADA coordinator. It was granted. So now if Superior Court of California can grant me my accommodation, why can't City Hall?
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, seeing no public comment is closed. Let's call the next item.
Item number 4, file number 18012, complaint filed by Denta Tedeschi against Lori Mazzola, City Hall Building Management for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 67.5 by restricting access to all meetings of any policy body in City Hall.
Okay. This was heard again in EOT. Member Josh Wolf's not here. I guess I'll read the report. Okay. Denta Tedeschi, petitioner, provided a summary of his complaint and requested the committee to find a violation. Mr. Tedeschi stated his complaint is an extension of the prior complaint, file number 18028. Mr. Tedeschi stated that he was unable to reach Lori Mazzola, City Hall billing manager, after multiple attempts. Mr. Tedeschi stated that he wanted to be in compliance with the law and that he always carries her leash, but that only he should make the determination when his service animal should be on her leash. Mr. Tedeschi stated that he disagrees with the rules regarding the admission to City Hall with a service animal and they should have been allowed to attend meetings at City Hall because the service animal is always under control without a leash. There are no speakers on behalf of the petitioner. John Gavin, San Francisco Real Estate Division, who's the respondent, provided a summary of the department's position. Mr. Gavin stated that when Mr. Tedeschi came to the office for additional clarification regarding service animals in City Hall, Mr. Tedeschi was informed by Lori Mazzola that he could enter the building as long as the service animal is on a leash. Mr. Gavin stated that this advice was provided based upon ADA regulations, which stated that service animals must be under the control of the handler at all times and that service animals must be harnessed, leashed, or tethered while in public places unless these devices interfered with the work of the service animal or a person's disability prevented use of the device. Mr. Gavin stated Mr. Tedesca uses voice signals to control his service animal, but indicated Mr. Tedesca stated that he does use a leash when needed and carries it with him. Mr. Gavin stated that this rule was implemented in consultation with the Mayor's Office on Disability. Member Bruce Wolf requested that both the respondent and the Sunshine Task Force legal counsel provide research on whether the law on the building rules are consistent with ADA law, or whether the building rules imposed a separate restriction that is not contemplated by the ADA law regarding service animals. Okay, let's hear from the parties. Mr. Tedesca, you have 5 minutes. Oh, hold on a minute. You're here? Okay. Hold on a second. What documents are these? Before you hand them to me, because they're coming late, right? So we have a policy of not accepting documents within 5 days of a hearing, okay? So what are these documents and who are they from?
They're related to case number 17055, which is not on the agenda today. Mr. Gavin felt it was important for it to be included, at least to be read.
Can you, in the microphone?
These are documents related to case number 17055, having to do with City Hall building management. Mr. Gavin said that he felt these particular documents were relevant to Mr. Tedesca's case today against Lori Mazzola and City Hall building management. I have copies of them. I said I would make copies. It's up to you whether you want to accept them or not.
Okay, well, there are two things here. One is have we heard case 17055? Is that a case we've already adjudicated?
Can I make a point?
Yes.
So that order of determination was regarding the Mayor's Office of Disability, and I believe it's included in our packet because I remember seeing in there it said, for your information, please find attached is the order of determination for complaint number 17055 regarding the Mayor's Office on Disabilities, hearing regarding access to City Hall, policy body meetings that occur in City Hall due to alleged conduct of service animal.
Page 93.
So
Okay.
it sounds like this is, I mean, I'm not sure what is in that folder, but we do have some information that we can look at in the packet. And my hope would be that the person representing the respondent can just make reference to the documents in the packet that are related to this case so that we don't have to deal with this issue of last-minute documents and how they could be prejudicial.
So then you do not want to accept these documents? You're not you're
I would
suggesting we don't consider
I would consider moving this item to a different day if we really need if the respondent says we really need these documents, but my preference would be for the respondent to just use what is already in the packet that is in reference to these documents.
I gotcha. So
because something is in here.
So usually we ask the party that's presenting them whether it will make a substantive change in the case or not. If it does, then that usually warrants a continuance to allow the parties and us to be able to review them, and considering, it could be, maybe a considerable amount of information.
Right, and Mr. Tedesca doesn't know what's in the folder.
And he doesn't know if it'll change his preparation. So usually let's do that. So who's representing the Department of Real Estate? Mr. Tedesca, if you can step aside for a moment so we can deal with this procedural issue.
Hi, John Gavin with San Francisco's Real Estate Division. Speaking on behalf of Building Management. I didn't see it in the file, and if it is, great. The memo from Deputy City Attorney Matthew Lee regarding unleashed service animals under the American with Disabilities Act.
Hold on a minute.
You said Matthew Lee?
Correct.
I mean, is there a copy of the packet that he can look at so he can see what's in there? I mean, you don't have to give your copy. That's for yourself. There should be another copy.
I have a copy of that memo from Matthew Lee to Nicole Bond, Director of Mayor's Office on Disability.
Is it in the packet? Which page number?
It's not in the packet.
No, I want him to look at the packet and see what we have on this case.
Please don't reference any of that. That is not applicable right now. Thank you.
Because I know that starting on page 100 of the packet, for example, there is a document there. It's the actual order of determination. It's not a memo on the it's not the memo, I believe, that's being, I don't know how you spell Lee, L-E-E, but if there's enough information from this order of determination for the respondent to make the case, then we could just use what was given in a timely fashion instead.
And I would just ask Mr. Gavin, the information that you're seeking to include and present to us today, will that make any substantive change to your case?
Before I find out if it's actually in the packet itself,
Okay.
We were asked to bring forth information regarding ADA and on-leash and off-leash information, and so that's what I was attempting to do. But if it's in the packet already, because this memo stems from that file 17055, I believe, and the complainant references that this is a continuation from an earlier complaint. So having gone back to look at that, it seemed that this memo might be in the packet, but I haven't gone through all 95 pages, so I don't see it right now.
I didn't say the memo was in the packet, but I said the order of determination that you said the memo was written about is on page 100 of the packet. The page numbers are at the bottom. They say P100.
I guess what I'm asking the body is if the memo referenced unleashed service animals under the American with Disabilities Act is within this packet, because I'm not following the order of determination.
No.
It's referencing the previous file, I understand that, but...
No, okay, I'll restate. So is this memo about the order of determination?
The memo is about American with Disabilities Act with leashed and unleashed service animals.
Is the memo about file number 17055?
It's a memo to the Director of Mayor's Office of Disability and to the then Director of Real Estate Division from the Deputy City Attorney giving an opinion on the American Disabilities Act regarding service animals.
Okay, so Ms. Leger, what were you talking about with file number 17055? File number 17055, what does that have to do with the documents that are in that folder?
Mr. Gavin sent them to me to be included in today's hearing. And
In
I told
addition-
him I would bring copies of it, but it would be up to the committee to accept them.
Additionally, and perhaps it was in the other file packet, the Mayor's Office of Disability Director provided information about ADA law with service animals.
Okay, so all of this information should have been given prior to today.
Got it on
The
Monday.
requirement is how many days prior to this?
5 days.
5 days. So you were required to bring this information, but it's late. You were supposed to provide it 5 days ago, so that everyone
I'm not
would.
sure how long ago I provided it, but
Monday.
okay.
It's late.
All right. So then my question is, does this information that you want us to consider and include in the record today have a substantive effect on your case?
I believe it is attempting to answer the question you asked in the committee 2 months ago.
Okay, so this is the research on whether the law on the building rules are consistent with ADA law, or whether the building rules impose a separate restriction that is not contemplated by ADA law regarding service animals?
Right, but just to be clear, this memo came from April 13th, 2018, so I believe it was in the packet that I referenced for file 17055. But I don't see it because all I see is a letter of determination.
Yeah, the order of determination is from 2017. So, and you said this is from 2018?
April of 2018.
Well, then there's no way that that letter could possibly be referenced in this order of determination. It was created after this order came
So
out.
I think it would have, it has import regarding this case. So if this needs to be continued, I'd respectfully request that.
All right, I would suggest that we continue this case, allow all the parties, including ourselves, to review the information, And so we'll need a motion to accept the documents into the record and then a motion to continue.
I move to accept the documents into the record.
So
But-
it's second.
And to continue?
And to continue so that we have a chance to review the documents.
Second.
Before we move on that, is there a specific time or day you want this continued to? Next meeting?
I would say as soon
Or
as
in the
we-
regular schedule?
I would say the next meeting, Mr. Tedeschi has been
Okay.
at this for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's been moved by Member Canada, second by Member Hinsey to accept these items as submitted by the Department of Real Estate on behalf of City Hall Building Management into the record of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force, and to continue the item to the next meeting of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force. Okay, thank you. Any public comment? Seeing no public comment, please call roll.
Member Canada?
Aye.
Member Canada, aye. Member Hinsey?
Aye.
Member Hinsey, aye. Member Highland?
No.
Member Highland, no. Member LaHood?
Aye.
Member LaHood, aye. Member Tesfaye?
Aye.
Member Tesfaye, aye. Member Martin?
Aye.
Member Martin, aye. Member Yankee?
Aye.
Member Yankee, aye. Chair Wolf?
Aye.
Chair Wolf, aye. The motion passes.
Okay, Mr. Tedeschi, this is a procedural issue, and it provides you with the opportunity to be able to see the documents that have been submitted to us today, because it may affect how you present your testimony, your whole case. And so if that's why we're doing it. We did it this way. It's for everybody's benefit, including ours, so we can learn what exactly they're presenting. And according to them, this has substantive substance.
I've been listening to a lot of the podcasts, to a lot of your hearings. I already have this. Why? It seems like almost every single one of my cases, none of the named respondents are here. And why is there no charge of not bringing someone knowledgeable to this meeting? I've been waiting. My dog's been waiting outside for almost an hour and a half, and respectfully, every single time I come here, there's an excuse made for my complaints. What? I just don't.
So we're limited by the law. So the law states that any respondent can be represented by another person who is knowledgeable of the information. Yeah. If we determine that that person is not knowledgeable enough, then we can request more information, or we can request a person to appear. Whether they want to appear or not, that's a different story.
I see.
Okay, but that is the way the law is laid out. We can't change that. That's the only way we can operate. So until the law is amended in some way, and this is a voter-approved law, there's no way that we can operate. We're confined to that.
But like the police matter was, I was notified that it wasn't going to be held that day, so I never came. And later on, I find out that it was held an hour later. My complaint, which also had to do with this issue against the chief investigator for the city attorney's office, the privacy issue, that was about a closed meeting. I never got. I wasn't able to come to that. So how come they can't come? They're not showing up, and then their cases are continued, which is my case. And then yet my cases are just closed, and I either don't have proper notice that it's even being held.
Mr. This is probably going to be a longer conversation that is not on our agenda. I'm happy to talk with you after the meeting or at some other time to explain the process for these things and go over any of your past cases that you want and offer
I'd appreciate
any explanation you'd like.
I'd appreciate that.
But we have to keep to our agenda today, and we can discuss those items then. I could also assign it to a committee, and you can discuss it in a public forum at a committee if you like, where they have a little more time.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Okay.
Okay? Let's call the next item, please.
Item number 6, file number 18030, complaint filed by Patrick Roddy against the San Francisco Police Department for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 6721 by failing to respond to a public records request in a timely and or complete manner.
Okay, so Mr. Roddy is not present. He's given us notice about that. Is the San Francisco Police Department present? The respondent is not present.
I did email them and tell them that Mr. Roddy would not be available today.
And did anybody respond to you?
I haven't heard anything, but I came up here at 3:15 to set up, so
Okay,
they could
that's reasonable. Okay, no problem. Okay, so how should we dispense of this?
I'd like to make a motion to continue the item to the call of the chair, I guess when you think that there's space in the agenda for it to be heard again.
Okay.
Second.
Moved by Member Tesfaye, second by Vice Chair Hyland. He got there before you. Any public comment on the continuance? Seeing no public comment, can we take this by acclamation? Seeing no objection, the item is approved. Okay, call next item, please.
Item number 7, file number 18050, complaint filed by Don Chan against the Juvenile Probation Commission for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 6721 by failing to respond to a request for public records in a timely and or complete manner.
Okay, CAC Chair Kanata.
Yeah. So we heard this, and there was no.
Hold on a minute.
I do not believe that Mr. Don Chan is present at this time. He has missed 2 meetings without notifying the task force at this point.
On this particular
Yes.
case? So this case has been on our agenda
This is the second
twice?
time it's been agenda. He did not show up at the last meeting, but there was a potential that he was informed not to show up. So we did reschedule for today and sent notice, and he does not appear to be in the room at this time.
Okay. Okay. And is the JPC here?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. So before how should we dispense with this?
Well, at the committee meeting, the Juvenile Probation Commission didn't show up. And the crux of this is Mr. Chan wanted recordings from their meetings for the year of 2008, and they don't have them. And we had a case similar to this from Mr. Chan, I think requesting recordings from another year, and prior to 2009, they don't seem to have recordings. So that's the basis of the complaint. They don't have records of their meetings. Mr. Chan, if Mr. Chan hasn't shown up twice in a row.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And given no notice.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
Okay, how do you want to dispense with this? We can, there's any number of ways. We can continue the item and give Mr. Chan another chance, or we can close the case.
Table or close.
I believe the motion would be to file. It is in our procedures that if they do not show without providing advance notice, that we will file the matter, contact the complainant, and give them the opportunity to ask for it to be reopened within 60 days.
I'll move to file the matter, given that the complainant hasn't appeared twice in 2 meetings without giving notice to our administrator.
I second.
Okay, were you finished, Member Hinsey?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So moved by Member Hinsey, second by Member LaHood. Any public comment? Seeing no public comment, can we take this by acclamation?
Yep.
Seeing no objection, let's call the next item. Thank you for coming and sitting and enjoying our meeting. Please call the next item.
Item number 8, reports from Sunshine Ordinance Task Force committees.
Okay, let's start at the top. Complaints Committee, anything you'd like to report?
I don't have anything to report. though I think there has been there's been some interest of me to explore switching around committees, assignments. So I just want to put that out there.
Okay, I'll be talking about that in the next item a little bit. CAC, compliance and amendments, anything?
Yeah, Victor had mentioned earlier that the next CAC meeting is 2 days before Thanksgiving, and suggested we postpone it till December. I'm fine with that.
Before compliance and amendments, there are only 3 items pending before them for follow-up, and we haven't heard a response from the required responses yet. So if they do not respond, there's really no reason to schedule those 3 matters.
Okay, so you want to give them grace? You want to give them grace? A little extra time to do all that? Okay. All right, great. EOT, is there, Josh Wolf's here, not here, but somebody else on EOT, is there anything that coming up for you in the committee? Who else, who's on EOT? Are you, Fiona, you're on EOT?
I think I sat in at the last meeting, and we functioned.
At the last meeting, they heard several complaints, and they took a few actions.
We functioned as the complaint committee last time.
Okay, all right. Now we're focused on you, Rules Chair, Hinsey, for the Rules Committee.
So we did actually have a meeting 2 weeks ago. We voted on some, and Vice Chair Highland was there, he can help me because I don't have my materials out. We voted on some changes to the additions to the bylaws that are before you in your packet, as well as a couple changes to the complaint procedures. Although we had a little bit of trouble with the complaint procedures because we didn't know exactly where we had left off since we met so long ago. None of us really had a recollection as to where we were. A couple things that I do recall offhand. We're going to revisit the topic of the rule of reason. Former member Moss had agreed to draft a memo. He drafted said memo, and we're going to make a few changes, do a little more research. We also assigned a couple of items to the ad hoc committee on IT that's been dormant for a while. One of them being the sort of the IT, looking into the IT infrastructure for our precedence log that we've been wanting for a while. The other, and this came up because we were going over how to file complaints. The other, it was brought up to us that the online form for filing complaints might not be as user-friendly as it could be. So we decided to have the IT committee take a look at that. Chris, do you have anything to add?
No, I think you're covering it nicely. You guys can see some of the other changes in the actual document here, but we made some good headway. And I think, do we have to take a vote on those changes, Victor?
I can run through them if you would like.
Yeah, would you?
Yeah, the question is these were not, they weren't presented in the form of an action to be presented on the agenda.
Just a report.
It's more or less a report. So,
I'm perfectly fine too with taking the action on it at our next meeting.
The next meeting, okay, great. All right, so is there any questions on these proposed rule changes?
So the next time we see them, what format will they come in?
They will come in a format of like a proposal.
Okay.
I believe we would provide you a copy of whatever procedure they are part of, with strike-throughs and
Red line's
cross-out.
great. That's
Red line,
perfect.
right. That's what we need, yeah.
I do have it in the staff notes I provided to you today. I did list the proposed language for your review.
Yeah.
And while we're at this, I do have some comments, as I did miss the meeting myself. The rule of reason was continued. Precedence log was referred to the IT ad hoc committee. And I wanted to note that the Board of Supervisors is currently in development stage with Legistar, Granicus, in implementing a new tracking system. As soon as we get that initial stage done for legislation, it is planned to add SOTF to that system.
Oh.
And so based upon some of the features that we had been talking about in previous IT committee meetings, we were looking at some kind of robust search function.
I believe it is present.
And tagging.
I'm not sure. When we get to the point of developing our portion,
Okay.
I'll try to be sure to invite the task force or have Granicus come to the task force and see what they can do for us.
Okay, that would be great.
And just part of that, part of the way that the Board of Supervisors does packets is they do PDF attachments to the Legistar system, and that's all available online. And I believe that we would probably move towards that, so we won't be making physical packets anymore. We'll just have everything attached online as it comes in, and it'll be available to the entire public as soon as we receive it.
Great. That's excellent.
Regarding SOTF taking no action, I am going to propose the following language. There being no motion to find a violation or find no violation occurred, the SOTF took no action and filed the complaint. That is when the task force can't decide whether or not to find a violation or not find a violation. We'll just take no position and close the complaint.
We had a rather long discussion about this. We wanted a third option to have the task force have the option of taking no action, and I think that's good proposed language for you guys to consider.
I think that could possibly be a little weird for both parties to be standing there and that we decided we don't, if you do like Robert's rules, if nobody brings a motion to the floor, then the whole thing dies pretty much. So, it's a little off-putting in a kind of a quasi-judicial hearing, whether, there's, a judge would probably say, yeah, I find no violation here. Actually just say it.
Or
right?
there shouldn't have been jurisdiction in the first place. If you can't, if you can't find a violation one way or the other because it's not in the ordinance, then there probably wasn't jurisdiction to begin with.
Right.
So.
But we wouldn't even get past jurisdiction. I mean, we'd have to get past jurisdiction to then.
Sometimes items get past jurisdiction and they shouldn't have.
Yeah,
that's true.
So.
So
I think this went back to when I think in our last session, Josh Wolf. I think we got kind of spun up where there was no motion. But then I think Josh made to make a motion to find no violation, which we realize is not Robert's rules, but we're trying to give closure to the members of the public.
Right.
So they're not just standing there saying, "You don't care about us. Nothing happened." That's what that was all behind. So we can wordsmith this a little bit better. We can leave it as is. As is puts us in that situation of if there's no motion, it just dies, which we're trying to get away from. Or
right.
are
And
we?
I understand. And thank you, Victor, for your suggestion and contribution here. My concern is more, the action, what's happening in the action, in the interchange in the room. So, and I think you're right, Vice Chair Hyland, that people need closure, and the case should close on some sort of note. So, I would just say, I think this would be a very rare and odd occurrence that no motion would be made, and that otherwise that we should have a rule that the task force should always take action, even if it's defined no violation. So at least there's something on the record. This would be in that case where there was no motion. So I would suggest if there comes to pass in future years that, the body doesn't take action or something for some reason that this could be used. But I think we should always find violation or find no violation, and it be action.
And we put the language SOTF is encouraged. I mean, it's up to the call of the chair, it's up to the body how they want to handle it. But this is more of sort of just a direction.
Well, I mean, it goes it goes almost to say that we don't take abstentions. Okay, so it's either a yes or no vote.
I think this would come into play when we don't have an 11-member board, and there's a possibility of a tie.
Right, if there's a tie.
And that's where this would come into play.
Right. That's a good point, very good point. So considering all those items, I would suggest that we have some language saying that the task force should always, work towards, taking some action, whether it's to find a violation or to find no violation. And in the rare case that no motion is made or there's a tie and the motion fails, that this language that Victor has suggested be noted in the record, okay? Because that occurrence actually happens publicly. It's a very obvious thing that's happening. Okay, does that sound right? Okay, so we'll include that as part of
we'll include it as a proposal for
right? Okay, next.
The next issue is consent to agenda procedure. Mm-hmm. At this time, the only use for this consent agenda is with the complaint committee for jurisdictional purposes only. We did use it in the past for approving complaint hearings, but we have moved away from that practice. So at this time, consent is only for jurisdiction purposes only.
Or other than cases.
Yes, which is pretty rare. It's jurisdiction.
Right.
Before
you go on, just for the benefit of our new members, what that is during the complaint process, the committee will find whether the case falls within the jurisdiction of the Sunshine Ordinance or not. So generally those are very procedural, and you can take them all at once. It'd be very rare that somebody would say, it doesn't, and then we pull it from the consent calendar in that kind of way. Okay.
That goes into a further explanation, is that the task force is required to determine whether or not we have jurisdiction within 45 days of receipt of a complaint. And since we cannot always hear the complaint within 45 days, we put it on the agenda just to find jurisdiction and have a hearing on a future date.
It's really not so much jurisdiction as to whether the information, the language is whether the information is public or not. Jurisdiction is really something extra that we do.
Mm-hmm. Online complaint form was referred to ID ad hoc committee for review and amendment.
Hold off on that. This was kind of before the next request online system was kind of implemented, so we probably should get a report back from next request to see how many other agencies and departments have come online, whether it's system-wide now or not.
This is slightly different.
What was it?
This is our
complaint form.
Next request, we should bring them back eventually. We did have a hearing on it with some follow-up.
Okay.
We will revive that file and do additional research and bring it back.
Gotcha. Can you turn on our microphone, please?
This is our intake form.
Okay, thank you.
And through the chair, I think there's a bit more detail than just refer to ad hoc committee. Hopefully that's captured in the minutes because we had some ideas of how things should
Yes,
change.
that is in the minutes. This is just a brief review.
Great. Okay, continue.
Regarding what we just did, no show with advance notice language, I have made a few changes to implement the suggestions from the Rules Committee. We have the strikeouts and underlining of new language.
I think what we need to do is we need to, if we have a definitions page, that we define what filed it means.
I do have a brief explanation in the paragraph in parentheses. Filed complaints are considered closed and no further actions are to be taken.
Okay.
I have it in the description, not in this location.
Okay. I think there should be, there are some specific terms that we use.
Okay, we will create
that apply to what we do, may not apply to other bodies, but
okay.
I think it'd be worthwhile for
We
the public.
will develop a term dictionary, and if you have any words that you would like us to add to that, please let us know.
Great.
Just think right off the bat, filed, I mean, a member of the public is going to read filed as differently than we do. So maybe we should use closed, not filed. I mean, I'm seeing this as helping, someone navigate.
Yeah, I think the general parlance, though, is whether a case is closed or whether we've taken, action on it or not. At the end of that process, the whole case is filed, so that way it's listed and it's recorded somewhere. So whether there's action taken on it or not, in that kind of way, I think we're extending the use of that. The word filed to mean, the fact that it's closed, it's closed and filed kind of thing. Yeah. Remember.
As far as, I don't know, you might be able to use archived. To me, when someone says they filed something, it means it's active.
Okay.
Archived might be, more, I don't know.
Closed.
Well, closed is nice.
Well, when closed, I don't think people would recognize they could reopen, or they could come back to life.
I think the most confusing is tabled. We use that and sometimes.
Yeah, it's a Robert's Rules thing.
I know.
Yeah, it's not.
We can describe it instead of using a word. Shall be deemed. I will come up with some additional language for you to review at the next meeting.
Terminated.
The thing is often for the lawyers in the room, I guess, is like maybe copying what happens in a courtroom, what a judge would say, or how they administratively, when a case is done, what is that process?
There's typically two. One is it's dismissed without prejudice, which means it can be brought again. Or if it's dismissed with prejudice, that means it's done. It cannot be filed again.
But the ruling is, dismissed means no violation.
In your area, maybe.
But no violation against a defendant, right? So, all right, that's it. I don't know if that necessarily works for us.
I guess it'll be a subject of discussion when we do bring it back next time.
Okay.
And the following two items were continued to the next meeting of rules. Requirement for authorizing a third party who represent the complainant, and anonymous filing procedures.
Oh, okay.
For those, we just ran out of time.
Okay.
So,
Victor, just real quick, I think we skipped over the table of standard actions. When this does come back before us, please look at that. This was just off the top of my head. So it's in here. I guess you'll have the appropriate red line and stuff there for people to look at.
We would need to do some development and see what our past actions were to
Like
create
I
a
said,
table.
This was just to get something down that we could work on.
Yes, I believe that would stay in the Rules Committee until we can get something together.
Okay.
Okay, great. Anything else? Any other questions on this? Any public comment on this? Okay, thank you very much. That's a good, hefty piece of work you guys did. Really appreciate it. And then IT ad hoc committee has not met in some time. So is there anything you would like members, that you would like any of these committees to look at or do? A lot of the committees that meet now are hearing complaints. They're not really focusing on their actual charge. See, compliance and amendments does from time to time when we refer something. Let's say we find a violation of a case and we now compel the production of documents, for instance, and it's not happening right here. We then send it off to compliance and amendments. There'll be another hearing for them to show up to either say, yes, we provided them, then the complainant can say, yes, I got them, or no, they're still not full. Then things can continue. We've had some times where things have gone on where CAC has referred them back to the task force because things were not being complied with in a way. Sometimes it's a misunderstanding, other times it's willful, or things have been appropriate and then reported. But if there's anything that you want any of these committees to do, you can mention it now, or send me an email, send Cheryl an email, she'll send it to me for the public disclosure part.
I guess as a first step, I am keen on getting the IT ad hoc committee up and going. I'm happy to serve on it. I think these two items, one of them we're waiting for the city to decide, but the second one, which is our intake form, if you like, we kind of looked at that, and the Rules Committee went online and looked at it a little bit.
Okay.
I've got some ideas. That we could do now.
Okay.
Whatever form it ends up in, that work can still be done because there's some things in there which
Okay.
would be much more user-friendly for a first-time member of the public trying to file a request, trying to get them to shape it, get their apples and oranges lined up so that when it gets to our subcommittees, it comes through much more clean.
Let me ask you, Victor, currently is the complaint intake form in PDF format?
It's a Google form.
It's a what?
A Google submitted form.
Oh, it's a Google submit. Oh, so they can actually enter information right there online.
And then we get an email with all the information.
With all the information. Oh, okay. All right. It's
And
clunky,
it's not
but
like
it's
you
good.
have to do one or two sentences. You can pretty much state whatever facts you want for as long as you
Okay,
want.
that's great. Here's
And
what
then
it
it
looks like.
also requires you to fill certain things in before it can actually be filed, which is great, so you don't get incomplete.
It has checkboxes and, your name. Okay. It has something like Sunshine Ordinance section, if known, please cite. I would be surprised. And usually and when they do it, it's not always right, which is okay.
The majority of our complaints come in via email. The form is usually only used by our regulars.
I see. Makes sense.
Because they know how to find it.
Okay. And what percentage comes through the on the online form right
Maybe
now?
15%.
Okay. All right.
And the rest, people print out?
It's usually an email or a handwritten form.
Oh, I see. Okay. So they don't use a form at all, they just send it in.
It's pretty rare at this point.
Gotcha.
So when they send an email, they don't attach a form or anything.
No, they just start
write it-
describing the complaint.
They just write it out in free form.
And the last line is, if anonymous, please tell us how to contact you, so you can do this all anonymously if you want
Yeah,
to.
I'll take a look at the complaint. I haven't seen it in a long time, but, I don't know if there's maybe a way to craft so that people can get really to the point of what their complaint
Again,
is.
this is what work with our Granicus system as we're developing Granicus to accept applications for all boards and commissions. And once that's crafted, we can probably use a version of that for complaint forms.
Okay,
So
that's
we're
great.
moving our entire system to the new Granicus Legistar system.
Okay, great.
One of the things I was thinking, it would be nice just to have, if you think your violation is in this, and have a link, here's an actual case that happened, all this, that work we could do now. We could do the grunt work for that, and then in whatever form, God forbid, video one day, but if not, audio of.
Are you
I
volunteering
am.
to classify every single OD going back to 1999?
I'll give you 5 to start with. But I'm willing to do that, yes.
Yeah. So this is when all this about talking about putting our orders of termination online, this is going to be quite painstaking, and we're going to have to figure out how to do it. Can we maybe get some funding to hire an intern, or something like that, to kind of start going through it? it could be maybe a librarian that's interested in taxonomy or something, it could be any number of folks, but I think that would be important. The other thing I'm interested in, I remember when I was here in another iteration, when DCA Jerry Threet was here, he had told us very explicitly, we had also had the same conversation. He said that the city attorney's office has a system where they have all that, and he has all our ODs in that system, but it's not accessible to the public because it has all their other cases in there.
Right.
So, it would be nice just to get an export of just our stuff, and if there was anything like any metadata that was attached to it that we could actually use, that might be an interesting request to make to the city attorney, to see if they'll allow that.
Depending on when that committee is meeting, I might be interested in participating as well.
Who?
But when that ad hoc committee is meeting, I could be interested. It depends on when it is.
Okay. It's ad hoc, so it's whenever we feel like it, in a way.
Hedging your bets, are you?
Right.
It will most likely be on either the third or fourth Thursday of the month. That time will vary.
If you need another person, I'm willing to help as well. I have a lot of experience using legal databases for work, so.
Great. I mean, we can leave the membership of that committee open, and if there's an item of interest on it that you want to attend for, we can do it that way. Because, it's just a lot of discussion about things, in this kind of way, and we're going to be bringing recommendations back up here anyway. So it's kind of like a pretty loosey-goosey discussion kind of process in that kind of way. Yeah, Member Hinsey.
Another committee thing, if there's interest in diving into the pieces, the more ADA type pieces of the case that we heard tonight, I'm more than happy to help out with that.
Well, if you have any suggestions of what we should look at, in relation to these kind of things, lay it on us.
I will email you.
Okay, great.
Sorry,
Okay. Yeah.
Victor, could you add a note to the precedence database? Just put a note there, look at the district attorney's database for a possible solution, just so we don't forget that piece. City attorney? City attorney. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Okay, great. Let's move on to the next item. Oh, any public comment? No public in the gallery. Yeah, moving on.
Ready?
Yep.
Item number 9, Sunshine Ordinance Task Force Chair's Report.
Okay, so first I want to welcome our newest members, because we've had some other new members, and to welcome back all our incumbents. It's very nice to have almost a full task force again, and it makes us 10, so there is a possibility of a tie. But it's very, very rare.
We have to get 10 at a meeting for a tie.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think we could fit 11 at this table anyway, could we?
Yeah, we've done it.
Really? Not with these new chairs, though.
Yeah, we've done it. We've been 11 before.
I bring my own chairs.
We were 11 for a long time.
Can our new members introduce themselves and let us know a little bit about their background?
Sure. Go ahead, Member Yankee. Why don't you start?
Sure. I work actually for the Clerk Recorder's Office in Alameda County, so Oh, I'm sorry. So I work for the Clerk Recorder's Office currently in Alameda County, so I deal a lot with public records. Before that, I ran elections for Washington County, Michigan, which is where Ann Arbor and the University of Michigan is. So I've dealt with a lot of public records.
Ooh, IT committee.
I would, yeah, and then that's the thing. It's actually I've been through some of the vendor presentations, because we look for similar types of things for clerk recorder systems, online order of things. So I would absolutely be interested in that.
And the clerk of the what?
The county clerk recorder for Alameda County. I work for their office.
Recorder.
Recorder.
Okay.
Yeah. It's separate than the assessor in Alameda County.
Right.
Unlike
You don't handle speeding tickets over there, do you? No.
No. I take part.
Is there any particular committee or that you might be interested in?
Maybe we should describe the committees.
Yeah, I was going to say, it actually, it's a little, like to maybe hear a little more about what each of them specializes in, besides,
Okay.
it's kind of hard to tell from the name.
I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Member Martin?
I'm Rodman Martin. I'm a lawyer who does workers' compensation for injured workers. So do that full time. I live in the city, obviously, and I volunteer at the Asian Law Caucus. Yeah, that's pretty much about it. I have experience. I mean, I've dealt with ADA issues before and reasonable accommodations and VHOC complaints and all that stuff. So, yeah, as far as committee goes, or subcommittees, or wherever you guys need help, I'm up for it. So.
We generally try to pigeonhole the lawyers in the complaint committee.
Wherever I need to be.
Okay, great. You want to reintroduce yourself, Lila?
Oh, sure. Hi, I'm Lila LaHood. I'm the publisher of the San Francisco Public Press, and I am here as a representative of the Society of Professional Journalists Northern California chapter. So I was nominated for this seat.
And Matthew Cate, who couldn't be here tonight, he's the second appointee from SBJ, their attorney nomination. And do you want to hear from the rest of us? Do you guys? Okay. Remember to testify?
My name's Luam Tesfaye. I'm an attorney also. I work at the California Public Utilities Commission, so I'm an attorney for the state. And I'm on the board of the League of Women Voters, so I'm in seat number 5, which is nominated by the League.
And I'm Bruce Wolf. I work for Alcohol Justice. We're a industry watchdog, consumer advocate, harm reduction, that kind of stuff. And I sit on a number of different boards around the city. I'm president of the San Francisco Community Land Trust. I'm the outgoing president of the Haight-Ashbury Neighborhood Council. I run a political action committee called Dog Pack. And my pup's right here. So.
Chris Highland. I'm a IT headhunter. I've been on this committee. This will be my 4th term now, 8 years. I'm very interested in a lot of the ADA stuff, especially to do with dogs. I had a service dog that passed about 6 months ago. I'm now fostering pit bulls, if anybody wants one. He's very sweet. Yeah.
I'm Frank Canada. I'm retired, so that's a great thing. I'm on a seat for neighborhood and small business advocacy. Started a neighborhood group in 2006, was on the board for 11 years, and have dealt with a lot of the departments in the city, the structure of the city, and that type of stuff. And I'll be in the Planning Commission room tomorrow for a miserable hearing.
What did you do in your professional life?
I was a dinosaur. I was a mainframe programmer forever.
IT committee.
Fortran or
COBOL.
COBOL, yeah.
The language that never dies.
I know. That came up at a meeting the other day for me, actually.
I still hire people like that every now and then. It's amazing what we pay you.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
I live in San Francisco,
Oh, I know. It came up I had a meeting with the assessor, and they have a system that still runs, still call it a green screen. And they use the F, and she says, we still use the F buttons. So I thought that was very...
She was at one of our neighborhood meetings a few years ago complaining about that, and I said, I can help you.
Fiona.
I'm Fiona Hinsey. I'm the community organizer at Independent Living Resource Center, which is a disability advocacy, information, and support organization. We serve San Franciscans with all types of disabilities, and I have the disability seat on the task force.
Cheryl, why don't you introduce yourself?
I am the new administrative clerk for the Sunshine Task Force. I came on May 1st. Prior to that, I was a legal secretary for 35 years. So I'm familiar with what people do.
Nick?
Hey guys, I'm Nick Cola. I'm your Deputy City Attorney, Advice Counsel, and I share this duty with Deputy City Attorney Mark Price Wolf, who you'll be seeing us on alternating months. So.
Victor?
Victor Young. I'm an assistant clerk with the Board of Supervisors. I get various duties, administration for this task force, Rules Committee, Revenue Bond Oversight Committee. I sit on board meetings and just about any committee there is, wherever they need me.
He's everywhere. Trust me.
He's the best clerk we have.
He is. He's one of
But
the
there are
best.
other really, really good clerks, too. So people who are missing here today is Josh Wolf. Josh Wolf is the kind of community journalist seat, and he's been on the task force for some time. And then we have this seat for the New American Media, which doesn't exist anymore, and we're not quite sure how to dispose with that, but it probably will end up having to be a voter-approved amendment. If not, Prop B that just passed could deal with it if that doesn't get challenged. And there are two other seats. They're ex officio seats, non-voting. One is a representative from the mayor's office, and one is a representative from the clerk's office. And one of the reasons why is the framers felt that the mayor is kind of the CEO of the city that is in charge of pretty much almost all staff on the executive branch, and will hear issues bubbling up, and then how to actually apply issues, gurgling down. For the clerk is kind of a vanguard of the Sunshine Ordinance with regards to public meetings. They do clerk a lot of the meetings. They are kind of a frequent parliamentarian at times. They help advise the commissioners who usually are not very well versed in the Sunshine Ordinance because they're volunteers like us and don't meet that often. To determine how these things work, including with their own legal counsel that's usually provided by the city attorney. The idea for them to be at the table here too is so they can hear how we interpret things so that can be disseminated. If they have a difference of opinion, we want to hear what that is, and then maybe we can have some discussion about that with regards to it. One of the things we try also not to do is have those discussions in the middle of a hearing because, those kinds of things, if we start to lock horns on that kind of stuff, I think the best way forward is to continue the item, have a separate discussion about that in a different meeting or maybe in a committee of some sort, and then once we figure out what that's supposed to be, then have it apply to the item. We've been not very good about going down rabbit holes. We sometimes and frequently go do that, and and I think we need to kind of curb it in some ways. Okay, with that, there are a number. Before I get to the next items here, I just want to say you see on the agenda the committees that we have. If you have an intense desire to be on one of those committees, please let me know. I make those assignments. I know Member Tesfaye has not only told me, but publicly has stated in her testimony before the Rules Committee that she was interested in EOT.
Yeah.
Okay, and I very much appreciate that. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's since I work for a state agency that has to deal with Public Records Act issues, I think that I could offer them some, practical advice and help as someone else who has to deal with these kinds of issues. And so I'd be happy to help on that committee.
Great. I would urge the current chairs and members to review the charge of those committees and to make sure you're carrying out that charge. And it doesn't mean waiting for things. It means being, kind of step up, be innovative, or if you see, like we're having a big problem with people not understanding something, EOT can do outreach. I frequently I would say frequently, often, not that I seldom, get called to a commission and say, can you present for us, what sunshine is? Are we using it properly? Can we want to have a kind of a question and answer period, that kind of thing? And everybody should avail themselves if you're asked to do that. If you feel uncomfortable or unequipped or uninformed enough to do that, let Victor or Cheryl know and let me know, and we'll find somebody else to fill in for that. Yeah, Member Knapp.
As far as EOT goes, has the commission, the task force ever considered, as part of education and outreach, going out to citizens, like to neighborhood groups and stuff, and explaining what the Sunshine Ordinance is and what the task force does? I mean, I would bet that there's a ton of people that have no clue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there are vehicles to do that, because there are numerous neighborhood groups that have regularly scheduled meetings that are always looking for people to come and speak.
Right. I agree with that. I mean, I do it just naturally because people ask me because they know. But make it known to, the groups and the people you congregate with.
I have a question. I mean, is it under our purview to, say, organize something at the library that's open to the public?
Absolutely. We can absolutely do that.
That'd be nice to
Let's
invite
do
a
it.
bunch of the groups instead of,
Right. Well, I'll tell you, for the city family, there's a requirement for an annual presentation. And they used to hold it at the War Memorial before they had the online test, that everybody would take. And the city attorney would present that. And that would be in lieu of taking the online test. You can come and be part of that forum. We are supposed to be part of that process. And we have never been invited to that. And I'd like to see if we can try to, coordinate, heal whatever issues there are. But, because, a lot of the city relies on the Good Government Guide. And we have found some anomalies in the Good Government Guide with regards to the Sunshine Ordinance. A lot of it is more focused on state law, not on the local law. So there are certain passages that talks about 14 days. Well, the ordinance created more expediency and enhanced state law to 10 days, things like that. What's an IDR? What is the difference between the state law and the local law? State law is more focused on agencies and the whole department. The local law is focused on the actual person being the custodian, things like that. And so I think those things when folks come here that are respondents and they hear that, they're like, oh, I didn't really know that. So I think it's important those kind of things be sunshined in general. So let me know if you're interested in serving on a committee. Let me know if you want to chair a committee. And it's, I would urge you to take a leap to do it, and we can have, somebody else who has been a chair or somebody else who's an incumbent be on that committee. Most likely that will happen, and, will help guide the process. And then you also have your administrators attending too. Okay, the couple of items that I want to touch base on is the review of every city department and agency's website. There is somewhat of a requirement that there be an index of records, and you'll see if you go to any one or another website that they have a section called the Index to Records. And it's kind of a way to create a categorizing documents so that they're easy for the public to find. And there has been a lot of discussion. Various members of the city staff have said, can I just put everything up online? And I'm like, sure, do that, but make it in a way people can find it. So there is, you'll read it, it's in the ordinance. I don't remember the section number, but there is a section around that. And I think, that's something that we can do as part of EOT. It's either EOT or compliance and amendments. I'm not quite sure, which one or both or what have you, but you can figure that out. But I think it'd be good to start, it might be good to start with a memo, a citywide memo, that maybe the task force is going to take a random sampling, and review websites and make recommendations and maybe have them come and present in front of us and make it a public hearing or something, yeah.
Yeah, maybe the compliance committee can figure out who's out of compliance, let them know, and then offer the services or advisement of education, outreach, and training, to those that need it, who don't understand what they're supposed to be doing. Some will understand and just do it, but others might, be really small There's some really small departments that I've heard of through serving here that don't have as many resources, and they might need, more help. So,
we had a meeting at Compliance Amendments, I think last year, and Carrie Bishop from Digital SF came and presented to us. And I believe I opened a file with Victor to maybe explore us piggybacking some of what they're doing, because it's exactly what we want to do. They're going around and basically revamping and redoing all the city agency websites to one uniform, all following the same, lock and step with what they're doing. So that would be a great way for us to coordinate with her. I've reached out to her. I don't know if she's still in that position.
She is very busy, and she has presented here once before, and we could certainly have her back. She's very interested in Sunshine because of the work she did in London.
Right.
When she was in this position in London. So
I think I asked her how she was on Sunshine. She says she's halfway through the video. So, I think that work is being done, being paid to get done by the city. So if we can somehow piggyback that'd be great.
Okay, good. Okay.
I'll continue to try to contact her.
Yeah, it's just this is one of the ways, as we try to encourage the city to start getting everything up online. So that way the public has the full ability to look and research all the documents, and then on the rare, hopefully it will come up to pass, there'll be a rare occasion that a specific request will be made. And even though we only actually hear maybe 60 complaints a year, it is a minuscule of a fraction of the number of requests and information that's passed from government to the public annually, if not shorter period of time than that. So, while it seems like we're really busy and everything is packed and backlogged and all that, compared to what's being done out there, the city's doing pretty good, and so that's that for that. The next item is I want to have a little bit of a retreat and orientation, so we can understand, everybody can be on the same page of how our processes work. Could ask any questions about that stuff. If there are any, more arcane questions about the ordinance in general, we can get some advice from our legal counsel. We can get it. We can actually have the supervisor of records, who is the city attorney. That is actually the other Sunshine authority in the city. And if you read through 6721, actually, if you read it as a process, like A, B, starting at the top in Latin et sequitur, in sequence, you'll see that what comes up before the Sunshine Task Force is the supervisor records. That a person can go to that person and ask them, I'm asking for this document, I'm being told that it's not public. Can you determine whether this is public or not? And if it is, it's that person or that department can compel the respondent to produce it, and actually has a little more authority, a lot more authority than we do, to be able to compel them to do it. And then if let's say somebody doesn't like the response from the supervisor records, then they can come here. So they could either come here directly or they can go through that sequence. It's that kind of way. So arcane questions like that, we can talk about that stuff. If you have questions about something is not written well, how do we interpret this in this kind of way? Those kinds of discussions are really good because there is almost every single former chair of the Sunshine Task Force is working on a set of amendments. So it would be good for them to know what those questions are, to help clarify and make suggestions to them on that kind of stuff. So we'll be looking to try to figure out when and we should do this. Should we have it in lieu of a meeting? We could cancel, or if we have a short committee meeting, we can meet, try to arrange it so everybody can meet on that day, which is usually on a Tuesday. And we can have, an hour and a half to go through it. It'll be an open and public meeting, no requirement for public comment, but if you want to allow public comment we can allow that. We can figure out how things go at that time. How does that sound for everybody? Sound like a good idea? Okay, great. And it's also for the benefit of the public, so they can hear us thinking out loud at the same time. What we try not to do is try to adjudicate examples of cases.
Or give advisory opinions where, in this case, we'll always do this.
Right, exactly. And that, speaking of which, that is one of the reasons why I try to create this order of determination database, is because that actually does that. It's actually tells the public and informs us what we're consistent on, what we're not consistent on, and it helps inform you. Like this case, well, let's see if we've had this kind of case before, and it's just case law, basically, for the way attorneys do research. Paralegals usually do that work, or investigative journalists do that work in that kind of way. So, okay, that's all I have. Do you have any other questions for me?
Is Nick invited to that?
Say what?
Is Nick invited?
Of course he's invited.
See what I did? See what I did there?
Of course. Anything else for the good of the cause on that? Okay. Any public comment? There's no public in the gallery. Let's move on to the next item.
Item number 10, staff report, complaints, and communications. We did provide a copy of the staff report in the packet. It's dated November 1st. And first item on the report is tentative hearing schedule for the remainder of 2018. And I think we've already decided that the Compliance and Amendments Committee won't meet on the 20th. Is that my understanding? Okay.
Yes.
So compliance and amendments won't meet until after the beginning of the year because
it would be my suggestion that we replace the EOTC meeting of
the 18th
of the December 18th with the compliance and amendments, since there's nothing pending before EOTC at this time.
So I just want to interject. I just got an email from Carrie, literally, like, how strange is that? Having written to her weeks ago. Anyway, just.
Her ears
Is
were
there
ringing.
any objection to
doing that?
having a hearing on December 18th?
He's watching.
December 18th is fine.
At 3:30? That's fine.
The time varies. You can pick your time.
I'm retired, so I'm flexible.
3:30, 4:30, that's all.
3:30 is fine?
Sure.
Okay. And then you'll notice on the 25th, there's supposed to be a complaint committee meeting, but obviously it's the holiday. Second.
Before we go through that, I just want to confirm attendance at the committee meetings, as there was the possibility of a change-up of members. I believe the complaint committee for November 27th, we have, I'm not sure what the membership is at this point.
It'll be
Complaint?
Kate.
Yeah, right. Well, I've been member Kate kind of filled in my seat. I was filling in a vacant seat. So it's member Tesfaye, member Hinsey, and member Kate. And then member Tesfaye, is there any particular time that you would want to switch committees?
I mean, I would like to switch now that we have all of our members.
Okay. All right. Well, let me talk to member Hinsey or member Kate about, or anybody else is interested in joining the complaint committee. I would maybe suggest member Martin as an attorney.
FYI, I might also be interested in switching, but I'll do this one last meeting.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you. And just tell me which one you want.
Yeah.
Later. Okay. Would you be open to that? That's fine. Okay, great. So member Martin.
I'm happy to do a call with anyone who's going to join that committee, if you want to find out kind of how it runs, if you haven't attended. I think Member Kate has been to a meeting, and of course Member Hensey's been to all of them, but I'm happy to do a call with you to let you know how it goes and kind of what we're trying to do with that committee.
So, who would you like to chair that meeting?
Would you like to chair it?
I can chair if you like.
Okay. And then after that meeting, then we'll figure out who else. It should be somebody who's, somebody feels either brave enough to do it, or we'll have an incumbent.
So the membership for November 27 will be Kate, Hensey, and Martin, with
Member Tesfaye.
Chair Hensey being the chair. Member Tesfaye has indicated that you no longer you would like to abdicate your membership on that committee.
Yes, if you would like me to attend, I can come that day and help out.
That'd be great. Either, and
Okay.
if you can't make it, I can make it.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a flight that day returning, so it kind of depends on it should come in on time, I hope.
We will contact the chair regarding the start time.
Oh, okay.
Member Tesfa, is 5:30 still preferable for you for this one meeting, or?
It would be for me. I don't know for other people, but after work.
It's fine, I have enough notice.
5:30.
We'll leave it at 5:30 for this at this time.
Okay, great.
And then the December 18th Compliance and Amendments Committee, we currently have Kanata, Member LaHood.
Wait, which date?
That would be December the 18th, Tuesday.
That's EOTC.
We're switching now.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Got it.
And Member Highland, Vice Chair Highland.
Yeah.
That will take care of us through the end of the year. The next meeting of the full task force will be December the 5th and January the 2nd.
You ready for item number 2?
I won't be able to attend the January 2nd meeting. I know I have to travel that day. So, and I don't know how that works for everybody else, but.
If you cannot attend any of the meetings, just let us know as soon as possible so that we can make sure we have quorum for that day. For any of the meetings, any of the days, let us know as soon as possible.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else regarding committee meetings?
Not at this time.
Okay. And we're going to have EOT after the first of the year.
Yes, it will be the first in January.
In January.
Great. Okay. What else from the report? Administrator's report.
Item number 2, petitions, complaints submitted, and hearing files created. There are 5 files you see listed in front of you. The Richard Rothman matter has been withdrawn. And since the David Tucker matter, we've gotten 4 new complaints. Any comment about that?
Just on 18078, what's the status of the petitioner there?
She asked to file a complaint and schedule a hearing.
Okay. If I were...
A couple of the other items that I was mentioning, one of them is Antrabo and the other one is Lazarbus. And that just were 2 that came in this week.
Okay. Yeah, no, I guess my concern is did we get an answer from Mr. Bowe whether she was...
She just said, she told us, or she told me, that she would be unavailable in November and December and not available until January the next year.
But she also told us that she wasn't going to be filing any more complaints.
Well, I don't know what to say. Yeah.
I know. Well, I want to take her up on that.
Well, you know what? She sends me emails, schedule a hearing, file a complaint, and all I do is open the case, and that's it.
Okay,
This is a matter for the Rules Committee to take up, as additional issues regarding Ms. Trudeau will be evident on the next item in our report.
Right. And actually, there's another, just reminded me about something for the Rules Committee. Take up the issue around recusals,
Oh, okay.
because some people get confused by how that works. We have a kind of a standard practice from it, but I think it needs to be
Okay.
kind of developed.
Well, Victor will write down these notes and we'll put an agenda together.
Great. All right, anything else on the report?
Next item is item
number
3.
Item number 3, pending petitions, complaints before the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force and/or Committee. 2016, we have 1 file. 2017, we have 23. And 2018, we have 40.
Oh, those are pending. So
Right.
those are from those years.
Yes.
Okay, so the one that's going back to 2016, that's pending some,
That's Mr. Hart's, and it's pending additional hearing due to questions.
right, okay. Yeah, we have a couple of these kind of very arcane questions that are
right.
out there.
Those are listed under number 5.
Okay. Next item?
Pending petitions, complaints, and referred from SOTF to committee. There are 3. The last 2, 18001 and 18058, have all been sent orders of determination. We did that this week after you signed them.
And those are the 3 items
They're-
that are pending before compliance and amendments.
Okay.
And just going back to item 3, I'd like to note the additional stat that we put into our report, in that out of the 64 pending complaints that we have, 29 of them are by Antrabo.
Okay.
I did hear from Tamara Reed today, just to let you know. She did meet with Don Ellison. She has not gotten all of the paperwork that she requested.
You heard from who? Pardon?
Tamara Reed and Deontay Walker against Don
That's against the
Ellison.
MTA.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a personnel issue.
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So with regards to the number of complaints from Ms. Trabeau, we have, just so you know, we developed a new policy over the past year or so that we won't hear from the same complainant in the same meeting more than twice. And in addition to that, if we have multiple complaints from the same complainant against the same respondent for different issues, depending upon the context of it, will determine whether they can be combined or not. So we're trying to kind of tighten things up to create a little more expediency in general. Okay, go on. Next.
Next item. Pending issues. 3 file numbers. Data safe report on implementation of Sunshine Request Management System.
That's the next request system.
Okay. 16117, complaint filed by Ray Hartz against City Librarian Luis Herrera in the Public Library for violating Administrative Code Section 16729-6 by failing to maintain a written agreement with the entities collecting, maintaining funds for the purpose of carrying out or assisting any city function to abide by Sunshine Ordinance.
This is a pretty arcane issue. There's some areas of the ordinance that talks about real estate holdings and leases from the city to outside parties. This particular case involved the Friends of the Library because they have some space that they either rent or don't rent, and there's not very clear written information. So this kind of involved the multiple different departments to kind of figure out what that was, and there's still some questions that are up in the air about that.
And through the chair, isn't this also about the fact that the language that the being open and transparent about the funds received, that they should adhere to the ordinance, and they're contending just that one item in the ordinance, and we were contending it's the entire ordinance.
Right. exactly. So those are some of those retreat-based conversations that we can have. All right, the next item there, Mary Miles.
File number 17079017081, Mary Miles versus the MTA. SOTF discussed the matter and determined that an opinion from the Office of the City Attorney is needed to clarify the issue. Are individual city employees required to respond to public records requests personally, or are they allowed to have a representative respond on their behalf? The SOTF would like advice and citations of relevant law policy as to whether or not it is acceptable for a department representative to respond to a public records request on behalf of individual staff members.
Now, I don't recall that we were asking the Office of the City Attorney. I thought we were asking our legal counsel to do that.
We can go back to the minutes, but
Can we make sure,
we'll go back to the minutes and get that.
I don't recall who that was necessarily assigned to. I don't want to provide any undue additional labor on our legal counsel if we didn't assign it to him. Okay.
Item number 6, communications. Helen Vo, Office of the Controller, Ray 2018 responses to the status of recommendations by the civil grand jury. I did enclose the letter in the packet. I also enclosed a smaller version of the chart that she included, so I have copies here if people need to read it.
I can give you a brief summary of my understanding in that several years ago, the civil grand jury indicated us in one of the reports, and we made several recommendations, and I think on one of them we said we would look into it further, and as long as they have an open response from us, they will keep inquiring until we close it out. So we do need to send them a letter stating that we either are not going to provide any additional response or something to that effect. What you have today, what is being passed out, will be the recommendation that we need to respond to.
When was this original?
Several years ago, quite a long time ago.
Victor, wasn't this part of the, what's the name of it? There was a commission put together to do this. What's the term I'm looking for?
Right.
I'm not sure any of you were here. Ringing a bell.
So this is the second item, the more recent item is on retention of email and text messages. So, well, that's interesting because now after Smith versus San Jose, the world has changed with regards to transparency and disclosure. So maybe we should send them a question as to,
I don't believe the civil grand jury is sitting anymore. They just want a final response to one of our pending responses.
Oh, okay. Well,
that's what I was going to say. Yeah, they presented, and then all of us had deliverables based on it. This is one of them.
I remember this report actually. So maybe we should just send them. I can draft something with.
Yeah, we no longer. We're not going to take any future action on the matter, and we are no longer considering the issue or something to that effect.
Yeah, this is probably the best answer probably I could think about is that this was more or less resolved with Smith versus San Jose.
Yes.
Please refer to that, and
And we're not going to take any additional action
on this particular
we will, if you'd like to authorize the chair to draft and send that letter, I will provide assistance.
Okay.
So moved.
We'd like to make a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Moved by Vice Chair Highlands. Or
Second.
Second by Member Kanata. Any discussion on the matter? Okay. Any public comment? No public in the gallery. Can we take that by acclamation? Is there any objection? Seeing no objection. Item is approved. And the item before that, the continuity report?
I think that's a sample.
Oh, okay.
Sample responses.
Got it. Okay. All right. Okay. Next item on your report.
Request from community persons from September 15, 2018 through October 20, 2018. The task force office responded to approximately 178 emails and numerous phone calls, office visits from persons requesting information regarding the Sunshine Ordinance, pending complaints, or to mediate requests for records.
And most of them are from us. Which is, that's good. Maybe everybody's getting what they need. Hopeful. Okay, any questions for the administrators? Any public comment on the administrator's report? Seeing no public in the gallery. Yes.
A quick question, maybe under announcements.
Yeah, okay, we'll get there. Okay, let's move on to the next item.
Item 11, announcements, comments, questions, and future agenda items by members of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force.
Vice Chair Holland?
So I just had a quick question, and it goes back to item 4. And I see here that, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but looks like you put notes for yourself in here about sending a reminder to SOTF legal counsel regarding et cetera, which led to that document they were trying to introduce at the last moment. So my question is, when did we ask them for that? Because we asked them for that in the subcommittee. That request should have been made a long time ago. Did they delay in not giving that information? Because that's why I voted no on that, to continue. Because typically when we have new information at the last moment, we reject it and we carry on, especially if the petitioner's been waiting to resolve this issue for some time. So my question to you guys is, when did you request that information from the complainant? Do we have a timeline on that?
Generally, we send the requests for advice after we complete the draft of the meeting minutes, and therefore we can send them a copy of the audio and the minutes.
Right.
We don't track when the response is. However, we were speaking about this the other day, in that we are planning to develop a list of all the referrals or all the requests for records to various parties, city attorneys, respondents, and so forth, just so we know when we ask for it and when they respond, as there are many items we shouldn't be scheduling until we receive responses.
That's my point. It says send reminder to Mr. Gavin. So it sounds like you already sent him a request after the subcommittee met, right?
Yes.
He didn't respond, so there's a note in there to yourself to send reminder.
Yeah.
Still hasn't responded. Then it should be continued, or make a note, that you've asked on these 2 dates. And then when he tries to bring it at the last second, we just reject it. We shouldn't have continued that, I don't think. We should have heard it as it was. I mean, or we don't schedule it until we get that information. I'm just trying to,
That's a good point.
streamline, what we have.
That is something we've been tracking informally. We did actually talk about this the other day to formalize our process for tracking these requests.
Because we had something, I think, in another meeting, in the last meeting, where we rejected materials that came at the last moment, as we should.
Letter from the city attorney.
Exactly.
Because there was no respondent.
Actually, our process is not to automatically reject. It's to allow, if one or the other parties, to actually look at them and to determine whether they want to continue or not. Right. So this has kind of been a general practice.
Yeah, and I felt bad for Mr. Tedeschi that we didn't get his input. We're like, are you okay if we, sometimes
That's true, we didn't.
And I think he was like a little bit nonplussed as to what just happened. Why do my cases always go away? And he didn't understand what we were trying to help him to be able to get all the information we needed.
Well, that's not really for us to determine, but in that last case that we had in that situation, the document that was being shown to us was very short. It was maybe this long altogether.
Yeah.
And so we would have been able to digest that information on the spot, but I can't digest what's in that on the spot. And so there shouldn't really be a question of if we're going to accept it at the last minute.
It wasn't the crux of the matter what we asked them to prepare for us, but then again, they didn't prepare it. So
we don't know. because
We don't know what was in
we
there.
don't know what's in it.
The other thing was you could see it, and well, we didn't even look at it. The other person looked at it, and it was only this long, and so it was. Remember, it was just
Yeah.
like it was like 2 cells on a.
I just feel uncomfortable that the respondent was asked to prepare something, they didn't submit it in time. When did they submit that, by the way?
They said Monday.
Monday, this group of papers, it was Monday.
And they should know that that's not.
He saw the packet on Friday, and he called me Monday and said, I'd like to include this information. And I told him, I said, I'll prepare it for the committee, but it's up to them whether they're going to take it in or not.
I mean, maybe we should put a call to them on Wednesday saying, by the way, we're still waiting for this, to your point, Victor. But it just upsets me that because they didn't do something, this petitioner has to wait another month. That's what just rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, really,
so.
hard for Mr. Tedeschi to hear.
Mr. Chairman, we would probably want directions on if you want us to delay scheduling if we don't receive responses. And the thing is, it's not just a request for a response to respondents, city attorney, or some department. We also make a request of complainants. What if they don't provide a response? Should we be delaying the scheduling? We would need some directions on how far you want us to go in delaying the scheduling.
Yeah, generally, it's kind of like this is for the benefit of everybody. If they want to participate in it, if they don't want to participate, then we just move on.
Yes,
in
that's
that
what I
kind
mean.
of way.
Should I wait for a response or just go ahead and schedule?
Well, I think it's. I don't know that there's a cookie cutter way of doing this. Okay, so there may be. I mean, anybody has any other ideas around this, but I think the issue is they should be given as much time as possible with a deadline. And then maybe we should have some language that says if we don't receive this information by this particular time, then could be like the task force will not consider. And then if you want to petition the task force to accept these documents, then it's up to them. Or it's not likely that they'll accept it or whatever. But
I would suggest that we prepare the chairs of the committees to make those statements, and so we can take their directions on what they want us to do, if we should delay or not delay.
Sounds like a rules committee discussion.
For the time being, we'll use our best discretion.
Yeah, I would say so. But I think at some point we're looking at, like the concept of speedy trials. We want to move things along as quickly as possible, so people should be prepared to do that. And we should, we like to give people every benefit of the doubt and give them the ability to do that. But at some point, when the process is being abused, or people are not able to figure it out or something, it's one thing for a person to need help and a reminder. It's another thing for somebody purposefully waiting to the last minute, that kind of thing. So there should be some way to be able to determine that, but at least a message should go out to everybody that applies to everybody equally in that kind of way. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Any updates on funding for getting us on television?
No.
We haven't brought that issue up in quite a while.
We are on a 2-year budget cycle.
That's probably this budget cycle.
And I did make a suggestion in the past that one department is probably not going to be able to fund SFG TV. I believe that several of the committees should get together and group their funding together to fund SFG TV to create another channel.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I mentioned that quite a while ago, because one department is never going to get enough money to.
Are you suggesting some community organizing?
It needs to be done as a larger group than one commission or board.
Okay, well,
because right now they're limited to 2 channels.
Right.
And they're limited to TV crews in the basement, the control rooms, so they can't really handle more than 2 or 3 meetings at a time, and that's one of the bigger problems.
Okay. All right. Any other comment?
Yeah, so this is sort of a technical thing, and I didn't want to be disruptive before. These spotlights are killing me, and when I'm on that side, maybe it's not on today, the overhead projector, like Is it possible just to turn off those two little spotlights? Okay, because I get migraines when I have
LEDs right up here?
bright light shooting directly at me. The two little ones that are like shooting at me.
LEDs.
Yeah, no, not those.
No,
Nope.
no, it's
I like the mood lighting, though. This is much
it's the little spotlights.
Oh, there it
It's
goes.
it's the two that were
No, it's those.
Oh, that's it.
Those are the emergency lights, I believe.
No,
I'm gonna come in with a green eye shade next time.
they actually
Yeah.
adjust to the brightness in the room, actually.
We will put in a question to building management.
In-
If you can note that, we'll ask for building management.
Lila,
They-
you can wear,
Okay.
you can wear
They-
some black paint. Like
No,
clear.
those are not
It's the
emergency
angle
lights.
of the lights, and I'm okay when I'm looking down, but every time I was looking up to look at the person.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so those are not emergency lights, and second of all, they are the kind of outdoor
They're the wrong
LED
light bulbs.
lights.
Wrong light
right?
bulbs for the room.
And they're there because when they put in the television cameras, this area is too dark. So,
It just comes with being in seat number 2, Lila.
yeah, and now that you did that, I've got like spots.
Seriously, it's bad.
I also suffer from migraines with that too, so unless I walk
Thank you
into
for
a bright
listening.
room. you
We
think-
will ask about it.
Okay, great.
It does, however, show how nice
we'll call
Nick
him
Cola's hair
tomorrow.
is. It is right on there. Just checking he's paying attention. He's not.
Lila, we'll call him
I-
tomorrow.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask Member Kanata if he is doing more work now in retirement than he's did when he was actually working.
No.
Good, because that's not the response I got. I got something great to look forward to. Yeah, that's good, thank you.
Well, I have a puppy that'll be a year old later this month, so I've been doing a lot of work with that,
Okay,
which
well,
is total fun.
Of course, yes, great. Any other comments from members? Anybody from staff? Anybody?
I'm good.
Okay, great. Any public comment? No public in the gallery. Let's move on to the next item.
Next item is adjournment.
Is there a motion to
So
adjourn?
moved.
So moved.
Moved by Member Kanata, second by Member Hensy. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? We are adjourned.
Free.
Stop recording.